Well, how are y'all doing tonight? Ty, what's up? Hey, man, it's not always we get to bring out amazing news, and today is one of those days. And I'm really, really proud to be able to announce this today. It's not very often that I have an opportunity to say, Veteran Affairs got this right. And so tonight, if you were a veteran and you got your newsletter, one of the top articles in there is them owning that they kind of messed something up for not kind of, it was a big deal. And this affected a lot of veterans. And I think this is an amazing thing. And not always can I give props to Veterans Affairs and the DOJ and the current administration and politics. It's tough. We're in a very tough climate. And for those of you who do know or don't know, I'm going to tell you real quick. When I took on what I do as a company, when I do what I do as a business, when I use my Chapter 31 benefits and my GI Bill to get my degree, and people ask me to start speaking on this stuff, one of the things that I said is no, I'm not going to do this. And they said, well, why? I says, I'm not going to parrot positive things about the VA if it's not true. That was my thing. I want to be, and they're like, we have no problem with that. We want you to be honest. We do want to change it. Like, well, if that's true, I don't know. We'll think about it, but you'll help a lot of veterans. And that was like the kicker for me. It was like, oh, I would have an opportunity to serve others who may be going through some of the stuff that I was going through at the time. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take it on. So that being said, this channel has been a no bullshit kind of, like absolutely just straight off cuff is what it is. We say it like it is. And so today's article is straight from the VA newsletter. No one is paying me to say this. Nobody put me up to this or anything. I'm very passionate about our Constitution. I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm a 2A guy. It's all of it, right? I took an oath. Many of you did. Some of you are, not a big fan of your service or what the government was going on or the Quad or anything. I understand. But together we're here now, right? We've all done something. We all had a purpose. And that's a big thing we lose after service is something we're good at and a purpose. So again, welcome on in. It's good to see you guys. I hope the audio is doing good. I'm going to put this up here on the screen so you guys can see it. We're going to talk about it because this is actually something that was covered in the past by a good friend of mine. And some of you will probably remember that. So that being said, this is really, really cool. I see you guys in there with first and the second. Hey, Cherry, what's up? Tina, how you doing? Anna, Roman, Lady Dragon, Todd, good to see you. Cherry, Maddie B, good to see you guys. Good to see all you guys. Power to the people. We the people, baby. Today's a good day, dude. And this is why, right? So I did an interview with my buddy Donnie. He's a Marine. He worked up at Veterans Affairs at the time. He's done a lot for the channel. He's done a lot for veterans. He's a great guy. He's helped out a lot of people in the community. Shout out him. I didn't reach out to him about this. And I think if he still worked there, I'd be a little more apprehensive to bring this up because, it would be my whole thing to it is that he did us a really big solid. This is really what speaks on the man, right? So Veterans Affairs, if I remember right, has something like a third of its employees are veterans. And who better to serve veterans than veterans? I think that's pretty cool. Well, Donnie's one of those guys, right? So Donnie came on, and we were interviewing, he was helping people get sorted with VSOs and whatnot. And he said to me, we were chatting, and he said, hey, man, you're going for 100%. Be careful on what you're talking about. If they come in and say, do you need someone to help you with fiduciary duties to take over your finances? Be careful. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to admit that so I can get this over with. Because, it could be 10 years in the making of you having to, prove your disabilities or whatever else. And people without legal representation had just given up rights and things by saying, yep, a lot of people need help with their finances and stuff, right? But some people don't understand that. They weren't having proper legal representation. So you have veterans who were saying, yep, I could use that, right? But what the VA was doing on the back end, and Donnie warned about this, he said they have like kind of a backdoor where they can take your Second Amendment away. Like your right to keep and bear arms could be taken from you. And I'm going to speak on this just real quickly and get back to chat here in a second, but I'm going to speak on that I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate on this, okay? It's totally wrong. Should never fucking happen. You know where I stand if you've been part of this channel. And if you don't, I'm a big advocate for the Second Amendment. Someone who commonly says an armed society is a polite society, believe in freedom of speech. And I love having diverse opinions, and anybody who wants to come in here and chat professionally, debate anything, that's fine. I'm here for, I just want what's your human rights, right? And in this beautiful country that we live in. And I think during these troubling times, it's really important to be level-headed. And so your rights are your rights, well, you know, whether you agree with that or not. And it's what we have a democratic society for. It's what we live for, right? It's what we serve for. We took our oath towards the Constitution. Say what you will. Now, that being said, what I'm saying I'll play devil's advocate on is that, I don't want to get too much off topic, is that I would say that the biggest issue I had with Veterans Affairs and not wanting to be a part of anything associated with them was they still treated soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen and so on and coasties and stuff like that. Now whatever space people are called. But no offense to you guys, I just don't know. If you know somebody who knows, like, let me know. But the biggest issue, they're still treating them like service members. And what I mean by that is, like, when you sign up to go in the military, you sign up as government property. Whether you want, say what you want. And their duty is to take care of you and outfit you well and make sure you're fed and have housing and all that. But, you know, on the back end, you really are government property. Go get a sunburn, they can ARC-15 you for burning your skin because you're government property. The problem I had with that is after you've done this super honorable thing, whether it was 4 years or 20, you got out, you still got treated like you were fucking government property, dude. And that's really wrong, you know, just like ethically and morally. I just could never get down with that. And my friends and family members that have dealt with that, you know, it bothers me. You know, do what you will on me, but, you know, that pisses me off to my homies, you know, and my family. And I'm sorry to those of you out there that have been dealing with this for years, but this is a good thing that they've kind of reversed on. And why I say it's good is this. It's not even the fact that they did it. It's that they owned it. At least that on the outside looking in, they've owned it. It's literally the lead of the argument, right? And they say here, I'm going to read it here in a minute. But before we do that, let me get some of these comments. Then let's get into it. I also want to give a shout out to Washington Gun Law, President William Kirk. I'm almost like saying it like he would say it. Well, I'm going to check. I'm probably going to look at his video. He's the first person I saw cover this. And he's an attorney out in Washington. He talks a lot about 2A stuff. And if he talks outside of his state, there's usually something big going on. But he's a very, very well-informed, well-put-together guy. I got to give credit to him. I follow him. I think he's a great articulator. He's very, very well-spoken when it comes to the law and your rights. So I'm going to be probably covering that a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to cover some of these comments. I'm going to read what this is talking about, and then we'll get into it a little bit more, okay? That is a very cool emote. Omnar, I think you need to, if you wouldn't mind, we could share that with the channel. I would love to be able to use something like that, or you want to come up with an emote like that I could use. It'd be great. Guardians are Space Force. Cyber Tech Chick. Hey, that's actually really amazing. I like to be a wise ass. I use humor to, I always say, you know, one of the things I figured out in my service was that courage is often, basically, it extends itself in the form of overcoming fear. Fear is one of the most incredible motivators of the human existence, and our service men and women is like, they always say, like, you know, courage isn't being able to have no fear. It's being able to face it when you have it, you know, when you have fear. And so I use a lot of comedy to overcome fears, especially in leadership positions. I was scared of stuff too, but I always thought my men would perform better if they saw me standing up to, we were all nervous as shit, you know what I mean? And you're like, but if you can make comedy in light of this situation, I always felt that was really, it did justice to being a good leader. And not to be a goofball clown when you need to do something serious. You still got to be serious, but to be able to make a good joke, you know, like that whole, like the 300 Spartans there will fight in the shade, you know, and they're outnumbered, that kind of a deal. It's always been big to me. So don't take offense to me saying I don't know who the Space Force is. Thank you for answering it. That's how it relates. I really did need to know that, but I'll always be making a lot of comedy and light. If you're here long enough, you'll figure that out. And if you served, it probably goes right along with what you did in your service. So yeah, good to see you, guy. Eric answered it too. I didn't even notice. What up, Eric? How you been? Good to see you. Good to see you. Go ahead, brothers. Good, good, good. Okay. Gotcha. Well, no, I was thinking maybe you could throw in, you got goal in there too. You got a few of them in there, Omnar, as emotes. I've never thought about it before, but I would love to put some of those as emotes for us. So, hit the American Legion. Excuse me. I have to be careful with, I'm not going to be careful, if you will. What I'm saying, that's not what I want this to come off right. I learned the not the hard way, but I was given the kind of like nudge, like, hey, be careful about using other people's crest symbols and icons. I once had the VA's, this bothered me. I'll just be out front about it. I had used the Veterans Affairs logo as an asset on my website for all of us to use, so you could click right on it, and the link still works, but I couldn't use the actual seal. And they said, hey, be careful with that. If you do that, it brings a lot of legal trouble. So you got to be careful of that with other businesses. Make sure that they know that, and you have it in writing that you're using it. So something like the American Legion, who I've networked with, done a ton of great things with. They're really big on the gaming space, doing a lot for veterans, and I really respect the heck out of them. But that's something I gotta make sure if you're using somebody else's artwork. However, most of the other ones, I would say right off rip, let's use them. You know what I mean? The other ones we'd have to reach out and say, hey, is this cool if we use this? You know what I mean? Otherwise, we can call from a lawyer, probably. Even though we might not have anything going on wrong, and they probably would want to partner. But yeah, we gotta be by the book about it. So next is the horrible dick proposal to reduce disability rating. Yeah, I don't know. Todd. I'm sure, but this is a good one. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's read it. So I'm a small to give a fuck. Yeah. Roman, I know you're a man of faith like me. You know what I mean? But just because you misspell cuss words doesn't mean you're not cussing. I appreciate you, bro. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into this a little bit. I'm sure some of you probably follow some of the people that I'm talking about. Maybe people don't want to see this shit tonight. I don't know. Hope share it to your buddies. Let them know, because there's probably someone you know that's affected by this. So, the Department of Veterans Affairs today announced a major new step to protect veterans' Second Amendment rights. Effective immediately, VA will not report veterans to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's NICS, right? So they're talking about the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. That's what you do when you go file, when you want to get a background check to do like a security clearance, or you want to go do your, buy a firearm or something like that. That's a 4470, something like that. You go through NICS. And so I know that because I worked law enforcement for a long time as well. And that's just how we see, like, do you have any warrants? Do you got anything going on? And I don't do that anymore, but that's my understanding. And it says a little bit down there. But yeah, so they were doing that. They were saying, hey, if you have someone who is taking care of your finances, you can't take care of yourself. You're clearly not of sound mind. You can't have a right to the firearms, right? But, there's people out there who have had TBI, who might be, many different disabilities. That is completely of sound mind. I would say probably the majority of the individuals that were affected by this were perfectly fine and still want to serve the country. Had everything going on for them. They're not like, going insane or anything. Like, this affected thousands of veterans, like thousands of people who were just like, yeah, I forget things, or, I have trouble taking care of my finances, and they had no way to protect themselves using the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is big, whether you agree with it or not or whatever. It is your right. And here's the deal. I always say this, right? Law enforcement, police response, emergency response is a option that is available to the public, no matter where you're from, as a response. And what we instructed and taught within the tactical space, and I did that for literally almost 20 years, instructed in the capacity of all different types of things: trauma, crisis, firearms, less lethal, you name it, right? Hand-to-hand techniques, MMA, a bunch of different shit, right? Less lethal weapons, just all different stuff. And we always have this saying within that space that is reaction is always going to be slower than action, right? So the way to think of this is if someone's to throw a punch at you're in a boxing ring, somebody throws a punch, it's slower to and we have this thing in tactics called OODA loop. It's your whole system of like how your decision process is made. See the punch coming, make a decision, react to that with a counter, right, is going to be slower than the individual who has made a decision to activate whatever they're going to do. And this is how life works. So a police response is clearly going to be slower in an emergent situation. EMS going to be slower in an emergent situation. For instance, being able to have a fire extinguisher, right, to the action of a fire and responding it is clearly like if you could just prevent the fire, that's great. But the next closest thing would be have a fire extinguisher. Waiting on the fire department, that fire is going to spread rapidly, right? So not having your Second Amendment and being able to exercise your constitutional rights really takes away, precious time, and it could be, to your defense and to these individuals who didn't have proper legal representation, these thousands and thousands of people, veterans who served this country. This was a big deal. You know what I mean? So to get this back. So anyways, I'm yapping again, but I wanted to put this a little bit into an articulated perspective of how this, sadly affected individuals who might be totally, fully capable and cognizant, but in a wheelchair, needed help, maybe bathing and stuff like that, but have use of an arm, things like that. Like this, there's a lot of people out there affected by this. So it corrects a 3-decade-old wrong that deprived many thousands of veterans in VA's fiduciary program of their constitutional right to own a firearm without legal basis. It wasn't a legal basis, right? So after a thorough review, VA recognized that many veterans have been deprived of their Second Amendment rights without a hearing or an adequate determination that they pose a sufficient risk of danger to themselves or others. In consultation with the Department of Justice, VA has determined that this practice violates both the Gun Control Act and veterans' Second Amendment rights. According to federal law, a decision by a judicial or quasi-judicial body, get it together, Brick, is needed before someone can be reported to NICS. A determination by the VA that a fiduciary is needed to help manage a veteran's VA benefits falls far short of this legal standard, right? So in addition to immediately stopping the reporting of VA fiduciary program participants, the NICS, the department is working with the FBI to remove all past VA reporting from NICS. So no veterans are unfairly deprived of their Second Amendment rights based solely on participation in the VA's fiduciary program. Many Americans struggle with managing their finances, and veterans' Second Amendment rights shouldn't be stripped just because they need help in this area. But for too long, veterans needed the service of the VA fiduciary, were deprived of the right to bear arms, said VA Secretary Doug Collins. And I don't want to misquote this, but I want to say Doug Collins. I want to say he might have been somebody who's been working on this a long time. I don't know. There's somebody. I don't want to get it wrong. But anyways, under the leadership of President Trump, we're correcting this injustice, ensuring veterans got to get the man's name in it, right? You know what I mean? Whatever. As long as they're owning it, I'm good with it. We're correcting this injustice and ensuring veterans get the same due process and constitutional rights of all Americans. Hey, good on them. I'm joking. I'm not going to take away from what the president's, being in there, being part of this. And the DOJ, Pam Bondi being in there. Say what you want, be upset as much as you want. I get upset too. But this is a great thing, and the VA owning this and taking responsibility, not just saying, hey, we're going to undo this and we did no wrong, which is usually what we see with many different agencies and so on and so forth. At least this one is saying, hey, we know we made a mistake here and we're owning it, right? That's good. So it is both. Department supports this action as both unlawful and unacceptable for veterans to serve our country to have their constitutional rights threatened, said Attorney General Pam Bondi. It has been my pleasure to partner with Secretary Collins on this project, and I'm directing the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, to review its regulations and propose changes that will prevent current and future violations of veterans' Second Amendment rights. And this is amazing, right? This is really good stuff. I'm going to read a couple comments. Hopefully you guys are following along. Yeah, veteran or not, totally agree, Hobart. Totally agree. No, I'm just saying it because this is a veteran channel. I'm a United States Army veteran. Sorry to say that off rip for anybody who might be new. But yeah, this obviously extends to all my fellow citizens. I feel that. But this is what affects us. That's why I'm covering it. Caught that right off rip though, but I want you to know that up front because I'm very passionate about it. I love it. And many of my friends and people in this community are also feel the same way I do. Not everybody does, but most of the people here are absolutely in agreement with what you're saying. So let me see. Veterans' finances should be linked to the federal government, and so should our Second Amendment rights. I might be lost on what you're saying there, though. Carry me, please. What's good? Hey, man. Support you. Love you, bro. Love you too, Roman. Appreciate you, man. Next is the horrible joke. What was I say that? A license is a way the government sells you your God-given freedom. That's right, right? Hopefully the Supreme Court's gonna address a couple of these, right? This year. I'll give you something interesting that I just recently found out. I'd have to look a little deeper into the factual basis of this. But I was reading that the NFA was created. One of the reasons the NFA was created, one of the arguments that was made back in the 1930s was that, like, hey, a sawed-off shotgun or a short barrel rifle has, at the time, they didn't serve a military or militia based purpose, right? And so that, look, I just chatting with someone else who is very versed in the subject was making this, so I'm parroting what they're saying, but I don't want to be infactual. If I find out to be true, of course I will correct it. But but it makes sense. So they were saying that, like, basically, and some of you could comment on this. So the NFA was saying, like, hey, you know, the Second Amendment, which our forefathers had just come out of an insane revolutionary war, and the thought of being unarmed was on their minds, and that was the argument. It was pretty clear, like, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and you know, being you know, like a well-formed militia was being clearly done. Like, you had the Minutemen, you had local citizens that were making up the body of military armed forces on domestic soil. And so this was pretty clearly understood for a very long time. And so this makes total sense to me. The NFA says, okay, hey, you know, we're not going to agree with these really unusual weapons you're using. And they were fighting with the mob at the time and just come out of Prohibition. And so you have that going on, and they're saying, hey, these are really strange and unusual weapons. So this doesn't apply to the Second Amendment because there's no real military application. These are blah, blah, blah. And so you have I consider the NFA to be ridiculous too, right? All infringements are infringements. I'm with you guys on that. But that was the basis of it. Now, today, the argument that's being made, and one of the ones that's, like, being passed all the time with, like, today in Virginia, like 2026 today, not like today, but, like, they're arguing that, like, oh, these weapons are too militaristic. And it's like, but that's why the Second Amendment was created, right? Like, so that you would stand a chance against tyranny, right? So that's where I kind of stand with it. It is, you know, say what you will. I am really proud and happy to be an American personally. And all the pros and cons, the pros for me just massively outweigh. I've always, since being a young kid, I knew I wanted to serve before I knew what that meant. Like, I just always felt that, like, I looked up to that as in my whole life as a little kid. And I'm not even gonna like, I don't know, pussyfoot around about it. I really felt it was second nature to me to ultimately I guess sacrifice my own I guess normal human things that we take for granted so that I could help protect those that were less fortunate, more innocent than myself, or if that meant my country or that meant a small creature. I'd never liked bullying. And so this was a big part to my life. And it's a reason why I served and why I felt lost after service. And I no longer was, like, viewed as like, you know, like, when the government's done with you, you know, and this affects a lot of you, you were really good at something, and then you feel like, well, I'm not good at this thing anymore because I can't do it anymore. You know, the government doesn't need me. I'm getting too old, past the limits, or retired. And that can really affect your purposefulness. You know what I mean? How you feel. And so you need you know, this is something that a lot of you go through with, I went through it massively. feeling down and out, depressed about it, and you need to find something new. And I'll be honest, like for me, you can't do it alone. There's some things you just can't do alone. You need help, and that's one of the reasons I started a channel. Sometimes you need someone to help you frame it so you can understand you need a new purpose. You need a new reason. Whether that's getting promoted at work or figuring out like what you need to do for work or what you're supposed to be doing with the next stage of your life, right? Should always have purpose, man. It's we're here for a short time and not, you know what I mean? This, as they say, and you got to figure out what that is at all stages, right? There's always got to be a new mountain to climb. And I constantly parrot that because when I retired, I lost that purpose. And so I've found that staying trained, keeping up, I work out quite a bit. I might not look it currently at the time. I am pretty one of the strongest I've ever been, but I think MMA for my life, it might not be you, MMA, working out, training at the range. These are things that keep the skills sharpened, if you will, because you're preparing for peace. You always want a peaceful time, but you want to be a capable individual. And it proves you have a strong mind. I know I'm kind of going on about this, but this is what the channel was created for, is to kind of help conceptualize these things for your own self. And I hope it helps somebody out there. Even if it's one person tonight that hears this, you have done wonderful things and you should be proud of yourself. And sometimes we need help to find that. And so there was like a really good interview where actually I think Jordan Peterson was they were trying to make him look bad, but he said something very life-changing for me. And he said, a guy said, I think it was like 60 Minutes or something. But he was basically saying, you should be dangerous. I don't understand. That means you could be violent. And Jordan Peterson said, no. He said, yes, you should be. But he goes, that doesn't mean you should be. And he's like, what do you mean? I should be dangerous and violent? That's what you're saying? That's a good virtue? And he says, no, you should be capable of it. And what he means by that is very simple. We all train in the military for one purpose. If you do mixed martial arts, it's not so you can go around beating everybody up. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing it so that you can protect those that can't. That's the whole point. And that's where my heart was since I was a kid. And so I've always been this way, like always. So I think this is a very integral part. And taking that arm away from us for those that did it all and gave it all and served, dude, it really affected me. And so I decided I was going to cover this tonight. So I hope that really does relate with you guys. And again, to second Hobart, veteran or not, it's your right, man. It's your right until I think it would take an insane form of tyranny to remove the Second Amendment, because there are a lot of people out there that truly believe the Constitution needs to be rewritten. And I think it's written extremely well. I think the way that politicians skirt these topics with pages and pages and pages of documentation to try to interpret and get around the way the Constitution was written so beautifully, that takes up very little space with very few words at a time that they clearly knew why these things were important, is amazing. And I'm very grateful to my forefathers that did that stuff. And I live in the part of the country where a lot of that stuff started and happened. You know what I mean? I don't hide it from anybody. I'm down in Virginia, and even down here, I mean, we've gone through a lot, and I'm going to finish on this. I'm going to take some comments, and we're going to watch something from Washington Gun Law here in a second. But I'm going to tell you this, okay? The biggest argument you hear, right, for civilian disarmament and your Second Amendment right is they'll always say, what's the need? We don't need these things. There's no need. Dude, we've been living a cushy life for a long time in a great country. But let me tell you something. The United States of America has had a very, 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 very big hand in a lot of the conflicts that have happened throughout its history, and its short history, if you will, compared to many other great countries and empires and things that have existed in 250 years. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about here. You're looking at a lot of conflict that has gone, violent stuff, wars being involved, including the Civil War that happened right here, right? I'll give you a fact. more people, more soldiers died in the Civil War, I believe, and we can look this up, than, and this blew my mind to think about, than I want to say World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Guam, everything combined. Like all the other conflicts. I don't want to leave anything out. Desert Storm, you know, I'm sure I'm missing a couple there, but you combine them all, and there were more soldiers lost in the 1800s when the population of the world was way less. Think about that. So, yeah, sure. We've had it good for a good long time, but what happens when nobody's coming? What happens when no one's coming to help you? What happens when, you know, a solar storm knocks out the power and there's no more deliveries, dude? And it's up to you to hold down the farm, man. And you know what I mean? Like, I can't really stand with people that think that way. You know what I mean? Personally. And that's where I stand on it. And some people might not like to hear that. And the individual that asked me to start this channel said, hey, you know, that wanted me to be politically correct about stuff. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be honest, honorable, and speak the way I strongly feel should be just ethical. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be unprofessional about it, but I'm absolutely going to say whatever's the moral and ethical choice of human rights is important to me. And I think this is one of them. Yeah. So if we don't need the government, don't need, very simple. Now, wait a minute. If we don't need, then the government don't need. Very simple. What Roman's saying here is like, if we don't have a Second Amendment right, then what do they have a right for it too, right? It's true. It's a good statement, right? There's a lot of people out there that would say, they say they want to remove your rights because you would obviously do things to them that they don't want you to do. That's the only reason. So I don't want to get that. I don't want to like say, I don't know what words you're not supposed to say and what you're supposed to say, but you get where I'm going with it, right? I don't want to be taken out of context. Politicians that want to take away your rights are afraid what you would do to them if you had them. That's the way it gets kind of said. Somebody can put it in the text, put it in the chat. It's so huge, different between my country and U.S. military. When you retire here, you get a minimum of 100,000 exclusive loans, full backup. Yo, Lucifer, that's crazy. Could you please articulate a little further in that, if you don't mind? I'd really like to hear a little bit more on that. Because look, as much as I love my country and I love my fellow countrymen, and we're in a very like difficult political time, there are other fascinating topics out there from other countries that have exceptional rules and other freedoms we might not have, and I think it's a great topic. You know what I mean? And there's a bazillion examples out there of countries who don't have it, and they're like, man, I would do anything to have it. I mean, look, there's no question. People are fighting to get in this country left and right, right? There's a reason for it. I'll leave it at that. Most people forget that this was written during a time when no one was going to help us but us. Exactly, dude. What are you going to do when no one's coming to help you, bro? Who's going to protect you, right? When Jordan Peterson said, you should be capable of it, and the guy said, I don't understand why would violence be a virtue? And he said, you should be he's like, I'm not saying you should do it. I said you should be capable of it. What he's saying is that if you, and I think I already said this, but I'm going to say it again. If you are incapable of protecting yourself or those that you love and care around you, if you are incapable of service, right? But let's say you are physically capable, but you do choose not to be. You don't study to strengthen your body. You don't study how to be somewhat proficient in handling yourself with your hands and protecting yourself, because evil exists. If you don't choose to do any sort of training by your own volition and choice, whatever, you are not a virtuous person who is, high and mighty, a peaceful person. I'm better than you. No, you are incapable of having a choice. You don't have a choice to use violence to protect yourself. Ultimately, you should try to de-escalate as much as possible. But if you're incapable, how does that make you more virtuous? You're incapable. You don't get a choice because you chose not to train yourself to handle the situation when something comes along and says, by force, we are going to make you do X. You chose not to prepare yourself for that. And so that's my argument is like, what are you going to do when no one's coming to help you? When people are tied up? I mean, dude, I'm telling you, like, I've been alive long enough to see just Hurricane Katrina, dude. You know what I mean? Been deployed up multiple countries. I've been all over the world, dude, and seen all kinds of crazy different ways of life and stuff like that. And I've been alive long enough to see a lot of crazy historical events. There are many examples where somebody wasn't coming along sometimes, not just for 5 minutes, but for 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, dude. It still happens. You know, you can choose to bury your head in the sand all you want, but that's a fact, dude. All right. And there's plenty of historical examples if you don't believe that. So let's look at, let's look this up here. I'm going to pull up, hopefully he's good with me covering this here. Because I think he says it a lot better than me. Why in the hell can I type this? Washington gun law. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we can find President William Kirk's, Attorney Kirk's, here it is, right here. Okay, let's
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington.
Okay. Let's see if we can pull this up here. This is our man, William Kirk. I'm going to link it in the chat because I think he's an excellent source of this information. If you're into this or you have a friend or family member, please share it with them. I think he's going to explain it a lot better, and he's on your side. My mom survived Katrina barely. Isn't that crazy? Look at this. I don't normally look at the numbers, but we don't have like a ton. Sometimes, you know, there's 100 people in here and sometimes there's like 10. You know what I mean? And right now we're working about 20. And I'll say this, dude. We're talking, which is still incredible. Thank you guys very much. But my point here we have a friend and longtime community member who was affected by it. I was a soldier in that time, deployed for that reason. But I will tell you, the fact that I brought it up and somebody said my mom barely survived that ordeal should tell you why their standards are that way. You know what I mean? Thank you, Roman, for sharing that, bro. Warrior in a garden. That's a great point. I don't want to misquote it. He's quoting, I don't know the exact thing on it, but it's basically like, I would rather be a warrior than a gardener in a war. That's such a great statement. I know that problem. I know what you're talking about. I don't want to misquote it here, but let's
Hello
send it
again,
here.
everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV.
You guys hear this?
Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. I am super excited to be able to do this video because we're in the middle of legislative sessions all around the country, and so really my videos lately have just been bad news after more bad news after more bad news. So the ability to not only give some good news, but to do some attaboys, well, that's very, very welcome around here.
Which we all need, dude. Like, and he's right, man. He does have to cover a lot of shit people don't want to hear. But, dude, in the current political environment and social media, it's like we're being bombarded with bad news. So I'm glad, and I'm very happy he can present this, but I'm very honored to be able to present this from him because, and from the VA's news article today, because it is so rare. I hope this is good news to many of you, too.
We're going to talk about a law that's been in place ever since Bill Clinton was president, and it has disarmed thousands, and I mean thousands and thousands of veterans for no good reason. But the good news is that law has come to an end. We're going to explain how we got there, and we're going to give some credit where credit is due. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the best Second Amendment news you're going to hear all week.
I'm glad he changed. He had an intro, his old intro, and if he hears this, Attorney Clerk, you did a great I say clerk. I'm sorry about that. Keep thinking like clerk of court. Attorney Kirk, you did a great job. The old one with the popping like a revolver or something. I don't know. I always I didn't think it sounded right. I think he did a good job with this.
Okay, America, listen, I'm going to get this all set up as fast as I can so we can get to the good news. But way back in the day when Bill Clinton was the president, one of the things that happened during his administration was the establishment of 27 CFR section 478.11a. We've already done videos on it, so we're not going to get too far into the woods. But essentially, that allowed the VA, the Veterans Administration, to enter things onto a NICS system that says, well, this person is no longer mentally fit to possess firearms. Translation, the VA was administratively disarming a bunch of our veterans. And that's
crazy.
What was the criteria that they were using to do so? It was when they learned that a financial fiduciary was managing their finances. So if somebody else took over that vet's finances, suddenly the VA would come to a conclusion that that person was mentally unfit to possess a firearm. They would be
Sounds like good and logical to the people that sit on that side, right? But like Donnie said, man, we had people in that conversation that were like, "Hey, I need help with XYZ," and they'd been maimed in combat or in an accident while just working at the motor pool or whatever have you. And he had to warn of it, like, "Hey, be careful." He didn't want to like make any statements, and get because it was a really weird gray area, man. And this frickin' screwed over a lot of people, dude.
entered into the NICS system, and that person is disarmed moving forward. No, by the way, try to get that undone. Yeah, good luck with that. So since Bill Clinton was the president, we have disarmed thousands, and I mean thousands of veterans that way. Oh, and during the last presidential administration, yeah, the disarmament that occurred under this particular CFR was at an all-time high. Now, there had been 2 pieces of legislation proposed in Washington, D.C. to fix this problem, including House Resolution 1041 and Senate Bill 478, but both of which are going to actually require 60 votes to get out of the Senate, and you and I.
That's insane. That's a very high number, just for those that don't know. I'm going to read Lucifer's comment here real quick, and also because I want to weigh in on this in case you got to go. Before we do that, so he was talking about that this affected a lot of people. I don't know if it was a Biden administration. I think is what he was showing there. But this almost affected me because I remember. So it could have. I don't think it would have, based on my rating and disability. But there was a point in which I was being asked during my like going through on my hearings on putting my claims in, and they were like, "Hey, do you need help deciding this?" And it was almost worded as if like, could you use help with making financial decisions? And I had done a ton of financial literacy and education on my own. And I, of course, I'm sure a lot of people don't read it because sometimes they say very worded letters. And I would look at that and go, geez, that could be misinterpreted, you know? Thank God. No, I don't need help making these choices. But I think a lot of people would have read it as, oh yeah, it'd be nice. I'm in a tough spot. You know, I'm living paycheck to paycheck and I'm stressed out, you know, blah, blah, blah. Maybe somebody's a little older and it doesn't, thinks that it's in their best interest or whatever it may be. And really, they're just signing away their rights. That was happening, dude. I'm telling you right now, that was happening.
Both know that's not going to happen. But what I am proud to announce is that the United States Department of Justice, along with...
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry, I keep bugging. But I do want to say, Lucifer said, everyone between 18 and 32 years have to go to the military here. Men and female, it's mandatory here. European countries do the same. That's right. So my wife's from Germany. It's where I met her. And compulsory service... it's not mandatory anymore to be like in the Bundeswehr. You could do like Peace Corps kind of work and stuff like that, but you had to work for the state. So basically at the time, so like my father-in-law, he had done compulsory service where he was in the Bundeswehr. And as much of a laid back guy he is, he's got that military background, which is pretty cool. I do respect that a lot. I kind of wish, so that's something part of this country. I kind of wish we did. I kind of wish, we had a compulsory service. And a lot of people get upset about that because they're like, man, I would never do it over again. It's like, okay, sure. But I think that it would put us a lot on the same page, and it would kind of even the playing field. You know what I mean? I think politics would be a lot, it decided a lot differently if those that had the silver spoon had to serve alongside with those of the poor and the less fortunate, as the backbone of this country is built on. And I'm just going to say it just like that. You know what I mean? So big respect, and thank you for sharing that with me too. Yeah. You like that hype. You like that hype command, huh, Carrie? That's what's up, dude. Yeah. So essentially taxpayer-funded individuals should be disarmed, including the government. I think you were talking about if we can't have it, then why would anybody else? Right? He's just arguing.
Has issued a press release which says not only are they going to cease doing that move,
do as I will, but not as do as I say, but not as I do.
But they're going to go back into the records and they're going to undo all of the wrongs that have been done. And unfortunately, that's going to be a monumental task because there was a lot of wrongs done. But this is the right thing, America. Now, the press release from the VA reads as follows. The Department of Veteran Affairs today announced a major new step to protect veterans' Second Amendment rights. Effective immediately, VA will not report veterans to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's National Instant Criminal Background Check System as prohibited persons only because they need help from a fiduciary in managing their VA benefits.
So I ask you, if you know someone who needs to hear this, please. I don't ask often to share, subscribe, or do all that other stuff. Well, you know what to do. You want to do it, you do it. But if you know, on this episode, if you know somebody who could use this information, send it to them, put a timestamp on it. When the actual VOD comes out, go in the comments, leave a timestamp, add them, do what you need to do. And like I said, I'll put President Kirk's here, or Attorney Kirk's here, information in the channel so you can check them out.
This corrects a 3-decade-old wrong that deprived many thousands of veterans in VA's fiduciary program of their constitutional right to own a firearm without a legal basis. And again, the exact problems that we and many others had pointed out on this, the VA acknowledges it, because they went on to state, after a thorough review, VA recognized that many veterans had been deprived of their Second Amendment rights without hearings or adequate determinations that they posed a sufficient risk of danger to themselves or others. In consultation with the Department of Justice, VA has determined this practice violates both the Gun Control Act and veterans' Second Amendment rights.
And how does that make sense, right? Like, there was nothing in place, and you couldn't even argue it back. Good luck. Lost it for 30 years, whatever, but there was nothing in there to basically step in and say, okay, let's have a hearing on whether or not this person should go in their background, dude. Like, that's a little crazy. You know what I mean? This was a big deal, a huge mistake. And the fact that they're owning it, say whatever you will. This is a really big step in today's society. And it's very needed, man, because you start to get so much negative news and negative, publicity and stuff. You just start to wonder, like, man, are we headed into what our founding fathers didn't want us, is this that time? And I think this is a direct representation of that not being the case.
According to federal law, a decision by a judicial or quasi-judicial body is needed before someone can be reported to NICS. But in this instance, they were just allowing some bureaucrat, some administrator over at the VA to make this determination. Now, that's part of the good news. We're going to stop this insanity moving forward, but probably the best part of all of this news to come out of the VA and the Department of Justice is that they're going to go back into NICS and they're going to start undoing the thousands and thousands of wrongs that were done. The press release also states, in addition to immediately stopping the reporting of VA fiduciary program participants to NICS, the department is working with the FBI to remove all past VA reporting from NICS so no veterans are unfairly deprived of their Second Amendment rights based solely on participation in VA's fiduciary program. VA Secretary Doug Collins, who absolutely shares some of the credit in this, was quoted as saying, "Many Americans struggle with managing their finances, and veterans' Second Amendment rights should not be stripped just because they need help in this area. But for too long, veterans who needed the services of a VA fiduciary were deprived of their right to bear arms."
Good. I posted the link for this video and his channel. It's in the chat. But right here, this is where I was saying on Doug Collins here. Good on him. It's not very often I get to say, like, somebody up, especially like an administrator at the VA, is doing the right thing. Sounds like this is our guy. You know what I mean? Sounds like a good guy. Hopefully that's the case. If you got anything, if you got a story, if you know somebody, I'm gonna put this back on. And huge shout out to Washington Gun Law for helping articulate this, because this is better than I could have ever done. But if you know of a story or case of this happening to somebody, please, if it happened to you, and you don't mind sharing, please put it into the chat if you wouldn't mind.
Under the leadership of President Trump, we're correcting this injustice and ensuring veterans get the same due process and constitutional rights as all Americans. So, America, not only is this a huge step in the right direction, but this is absolutely fundamentally the right thing to have been done here. And the fact that they're going to try to go back and undo some of the wrongdoings that have been done here is a huge step forward. Now, I know some of you are lukewarm on Pam Bondi. I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but I'm just saying that when you go to give her a letter,
I don't know. I don't know if you saw her recent hearing. It was rough, man. She's getting a lot of heat for that. And I'm not here to throw my political opinion on that. Um I'm neither here nor there. I don't know enough into it. I know that there's been a lot of things that piss me off. It's like you're a pro 2A DOJ, but you got this going on. There's a whole bunch of shit goes. So it's not all. Let's not be sugarcoat this here and say everything's all peaches and cream. But you have to give credit where credit's due. I'll tell you, in a million years, I never thought I would be on this channel saying, "Hey, huge shout out to VA. This guy's great. And this is good. This is a attaboy. They deserve an attaboy for this, in my opinion." Hopefully I don't get slapped in the face for, something stupid happening next week, but this was made me real happy.
grade, this is something that you should consider. Now, there's some attaboys that need to be handed out here.
There you go.
First of all, Ryan Pfluger over at the National Association
He's the
for
one.
Gun Rights has been pounding on this drum for as long as I have known him. And I don't know of anyone who's been
What is his name? I had a bad head injury and I mess up words and names all the time.
I have known him. And I don't know of anyone who's been more passionate about this issue and more dedicated to undoing this. So kudos to Ryan over there at NAGR.
Okay, Ryan at NAGR. Okay. Was that National Association? NAGR. Gun Rights? National Association of Gun Rights? There you go. I might have to pull it up.
Been more passionate about this gun rights has been pounding. Ryan Pfluger over at the National
Ryan Pfluger. Okay. I think he's been doing this for a long time. He looks really young. Sorry, Mr. Pfluger. I don't know. I didn't know your name until this. And thank you, Attorney Kirk, for
Gun
sharing
Rights
it.
has been pounding on this drum for as long as I have known him. And I don't know of anyone who's been more passionate about this issue and more dedicated to undoing this. So kudos to Ryan over there at NAGR. Also,
Thank you,
we've got
Mr.
to give
Pfluger.
credit to a gentleman named Mike Hammond over at Gun Owners of America. Unfortunately, Mike is no longer with us, but he was absolutely one of the precipice of this movement. He was very passionate about himself. He was incredibly vocal. This is an issue that he worked diligently trying to get to, and I only wish that he was here today with us to see this tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah, God bless him.
Effective immediately. If you're a vet, and you're in the VA's fiduciary program, good news, you're not gonna get disarmed. And oh, by the way, if you've already been in that program and you've been disarmed, yes, help is on the way. You are gonna be removed from the NICS system.
Let's go,
Listen,
baby.
We're gonna go ahead and link up the VA's press release down below so that you don't have to take our word for it. You can just geek out on it for yourself. Congratulations to everyone who put hard work in on this, Ryan Pfluger, Mike Hammond in particular. Listen, if you guys got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. Click on that link right there and tell us all about it.
I'm going to go ahead and grab that description box and I'll post it in the chat here for you guys.
If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter and find out about all the cool stuff that they won't let us talk about here,
Post that too.
There's a link in the description box for you to do that. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.
What a great channel, great guy. Really, he's the first person I saw cover this. And I'm not sure if he served or not, but he does a real good job. I think you can see why. I go to him because he's very professional. He had a whole bunch of these. So if you want to thank Mr. Pfluger, I'm going to post this link. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to probably do it from over here because I'm on two separate PCs here. And we'll do that. We'll get it up here. But yeah, let me know. A Tom Torn Tom. How you been? Good to see you. That's awesome. Ryan Pfluger, thank you very much. Welcome on in, by the way. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are here. Supreme Court issues a 9-0 ruling on what? Sorry, something else happened. I think it was a Fourth Amendment question. I don't know. A lot of stuff's happening recently. It's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me throw some music on for a second while I'm grabbing this. Or actually, you know what? I'll throw my other capture card on there for a second. But I'm going to grab this information so you can visually see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you Ryan Pfluger's X profile so you can go give him a thank you. Give him an attaboy, as Mr. Kirk was talking about here. Yeah, let me know. And hey, if you're here and you're like, oh, and I don't agree with any of this and all that, that's fine. Go ahead, put it in the comments. Say something. We'll talk about it. Everyone's very welcome to weigh in on what their thoughts are. I don't shy away from none of it, dude. None of it. I just ask that you're not a complete psychopath and lose your fucking mind and be normal. You know what I mean? Regardless of what side you're on, we need to come together a little bit. You know what I mean? I want my good old days back, baby. When kids played outside on bicycles, you know what I mean? Like when build forts and shit. I want that back for my kids. I don't know about you. But yeah. Okay, so let me get Mr. Kirk's description here. I know I'm old and it's taken me forever. I'm going to give Ryan's X. Copy. I'll tell you another good one. Brandon Herrera. I'll show you guys. If I can pull my X up. Brandon Herrera. I don't know. Some idiot over here posted some nonsense about how changing the Second Amendment and stuff like that. Really, really crazy socialist ideas, man. Just nutty stuff. And he's a legislator, and Brandon Herrera said he would donate on X I think $1 million to an incumbent or somebody to run against him. And shout out Brandon Herrera, bro. Like, I love that guy to death as a gun tuber. But then to see him post that for my state, oh, bro, dude. Like, I didn't think I could like the guy anymore. Brandon Herrera's a man. He's running for Congress, too. And Brandon posted that. And so the legislator got, I don't know, senator got like 163 likes on his X post. But Brandon Herrera got 16,000 as a commenter. Pretty eye-opening, if you will. So I don't know how any of this stuff's getting voted in, if that's what the case is. Okay, Ryan Pfluger, that's his X. I posted that in the chat. Torn said, I'm good, man. As a vet, it's good to see them finally getting their priorities in line and not bullshitting us on their efforts. I agree, man. I really agree. And look, it might be a little bit of a turnoff to you if they're posting their name to it, if you will, and say like taking credit. But you know, this is a difficult time to be just being a citizen or a politician. But you know, this is a rough time for these guys with everything coming out with the e-files and everything. You know what I mean? It's a rough time to be in charge. So, you know, when we do get a win, we'll take the little wins we can get, because I'm telling you, it's definitely positive to your life, right? If you're constantly getting rage baited with content all day, once in a while hearing good news is real healthy for you. You know what I mean? So here's Mr. Kirk's newsletter. Let's say copy link address. This is a Washington Gun Law's newsletter, and there I'm pretty sure you can find out stuff that they don't talk about on YouTube due to TOS. I don't know. Apparently that link is too long for YouTube here or some shit. Too many characters, but I'm going to post it anyways. There you go. There you go. There's a shorter link for you on Twitch. Rumble. So he's got a Rumble too. Roman would be real happy. I think Rumble, they post like no holds barred content, if you will, on your 2A rights. So, and I wouldn't recommend someone on this channel that I thought wasn't really, really professional in your best interest. I've been watching Washington Gun Law, Mr. William Kirk there for a long time. And I ain't never seen that man put out a video that wasn't really, really well articulated from an attorney's point of view. Yeah. So that's that. Hopefully I didn't miss too much there. Like I said, I mean, that's gonna kind of do it. I don't know if there's something else you want me to check out or something like that. I know it's kind of short, but I didn't want to. I'm not gonna sit here and beat a dead horse. It is what it is. This is the article. If you're a veteran, it's in your news. You could Google it, of course. If you, I could post this link too. I suppose I'm just being lazy, huh? So, but this is in your newsletter. I think it's the #1 article. To a rights. I want to say this is the #1 article of your newsletter today as a veteran of our country. Yeah, I'll tell you, I got a lot of friends that work and live overseas in our friendly allied countries over here, and they all say the same thing, man. My buddies over there, dude, you have no idea how. My cousins live out in Australia. One of my cousins works for special operations out there. And, they'll tell me, those guys will say, man, you have no idea how amazing it is to have the constitutional rights that you guys have. Don't ever give up that Second Amendment. Don't ever give up the Second Amendment. And I hear that a lot, dude. It's kind of eye-opening because it's coming. It's one thing to hear people here go, oh, man, this is terrible. It's totally different when you're hearing it from a country where those guys feel helpless, That's the way I look at it. So, yeah, man. I wanted to do some DMZ tonight, but I didn't schedule a second stream. If you guys want me to keep going, you want me to play a little bit, you let me know in the comments if I don't see like a huge, it doesn't have to be huge, but if you don't really, if you're good with everything I put off, I'll probably just end stream. If you want to reach out to me and talk to me on the topic, if you want to keep conversation, by all means, or if you want to keep the conversation going, by all means. By the way, Tina, thank you for the 6 months at tier 1. If you hear this as well, I hope I didn't miss that. And Hostile Stray Dog, thank you as well for a tier 1. I missed that as from before. But yeah, I was thinking, like I said, I was thinking about jumping over to some DMZ. This was just such a big topic that I couldn't ignore it. And it's not very often that I look at the VA newsletter and go, holy crap. I mean, I knew about this from yesterday and I knew I was going to be covering it, but I didn't expect it to be the head of my email, to be honest with you. So yeah, man. Yeah, without further ado, I mean, if there's not much else, if you're not really looking forward to seeing me game, this is all you came in for, I totally understand. But if I'm going to swap over, I'd have to probably set up a whole second stream, which I don't mind doing at all. But yeah, what would it be without DMZ? So Maddie's saying you want me to play some DMZ. I kind of agree with you, man. I definitely want to grab a coffee. I'd have to do some switching. I'm going to be honest. I'm not too technologically savvy when it comes to swapping live the actual live stream into a totally different. Let me see if I could just edit it straight up. I don't really ever do this. I seen Peanut doing it on his when he switches games, but I don't, or topics, but I never do it. Stream settings, edit, customization. I think I have to set up a new stream, dude. I almost feel like it would be better of me to do 2 streams and separate these videos too for editing and not to mislead anybody, if you will. So we could do that. I think we do that. I think you let me set up another stream. I can switch Twitch, no problem. But YouTube, I think you let me set up another stream and I do it that way. Carry me. I know what's complicated is forced hospitalization for mental health. Okay, I know what's complicated is forced hospitalization for mental health. Yeah, it's a tough one too. I mean, there's no question about it, right? I mean, just the subject in and of itself is pretty tough because, to be honest with you, where do you draw the line at when you're locking somebody up, right? I mean, I definitely think there's got to be some common sense in that stuff. You know what I mean? And when it relates to this, yeah, I'm going to be honest. Whether you think they say, well, no, any infringement is an infringement. Well, I do think personally, in my opinion, and a lot of Second Amendment advocates would hate me for saying this, but there are a couple places in where I do believe an outside uh, group of your peers should be able to decide in certain cases when maybe it's not so great. You know what I mean? But this is where, I mean, this is how in the political environment they go back and forth with trying to disarm you. It's the red flag law stuff. You know what I mean? And that's where he said it's like a complicated topic. Even when it doesn't have to do with Second Amendment, when can you lock someone up over, you know what I mean, over not having done anything, but you think they are a danger to themselves? It's a tough subject. It's not something I'm specialized in, but I think like the biggest problem of today is that people who make laws or decisions on any of this stuff, no matter what the environment is or topic of discussion is, you're not using a group of individuals that are specialized in that field. So if you were talking on topics of pro-choice stuff or Second Amendment stuff or things that have to do with law, medical, whatever it might be, the military, why would you not? Why would you allow? I don't understand why. That's probably one of the biggest areas I'm not a big fan of. I almost feel like there should be something there, but that's maybe one thing that's kind of missing from our nation's creation is not having a system that uses the oversight of specialized individuals in the field that you're trying to make law on. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. I think we would get along a lot better in the field of politics with our politicians and government if they say common sense laws on whatever topic, but it can't be common sense. If like, I'm going to give you an example. I was talking about the Brandon Herrera thing. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me just see. I'm on the wrong one. Oh, oh, what do they call tweets now these days? The AK guy. I really want to see if I can find the tweet, I suppose. I don't know. I guess that's what they call it. I don't know. I got to find this comment because, to be completely honest with you, it's a good example of what I'm talking about. And it has to do with tonight's topic. Come on. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to find it. Bear with me. It'll be worth it. I don't know how the hell I'm going to find this comment. I might just have to look up the video he's talking about it. I don't remember what fucking video it was. So bear with me. I'll go look it up. Let me read a couple of these comments. They asked me wants to go to a ward later. When I talked to my doctor, I asked, why did they ask me that? He said, because they thought you would shoot them if they told you that you were going. LMAO. Some of my best friends, man, have been in family, have been and you're like, oh, this is just, you know, like I'm talking like I know hundreds of people that have been down and out on life in a bad situation and they're perfectly fine and everything worked out. They had a moment, whatever else. But when you start effectively just chipping away at their rights and putting them in terrible situations, it's hard to dig yourself out, man. And that shit bothers me. I'm not gonna lie, because it's always the only way you're really ever gonna turn it around or make your life better is if you can, you know, have an opportunity to change things. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, you kind of remove that. So yeah, it's a whole wedge issue. It's never going away. They're going to be doing the same thing everywhere, even on other countries. Just change the issue. Yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to beat it is through making it like here. It would have to be like Supreme Court decisions, which we have a lot of stuff on the ballot this year that'll hopefully affect a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna I think what I'm gonna do, I am gonna pull it up on my phone. And like backdoor figure this all out here. No, 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 no. I don't know. Let me see here. Fuck, man. Here it is. I found it, dude. I found it. Yeah. Yeah. So if I type this over here, I think I could find it. I think I could find it pretty easy. Let me see. You guys will laugh about this. So we had two delegates here, senators in VA, out here passing these laws that are clearly unconstitutional. Like, it's not even a question, bro. And and it's under the circumstances that they're doing this shit that bothers the hell out of me, dude. That they're bragging about this shit, man. You'll see in a minute. This is stuff you ain't gonna see on other channels, man, because you know what? This is where people are like, man, watch your tone, you watch what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. Nah, dude, I'm gonna say it like it is. I'm not gonna bullshit my community, no matter how fucking small I am or how somebody flexes on me. I'm a man who stands up for when I do right, wrong, you name it. I stand up for the truth, dude. Like I said at the beginning of the stream. If I find out this guy deleted the post because of Brandon Herrera, that would suck. He didn't. Okay, good on. Well, good on him for that. I respect him for that. Okay. What the fuck, dude? I gotta like sign in. Dude, it's making me sign in to read all this shit. I am very, very sorry. Basically, long story short, there's two guys that weren't born here in this country, were naturalized in, became politicians, and now they're trying to change the whole fucking Constitution. That's the way I'm going to put it that way. So when you see Brandon Herrera's response, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, that bothers me personally. Not a fan. I'll just tell you that, all right? Make sure this is straight here. I don't really think it matters if I put this code up on the screen. I think it's temporary, but oh well. What the fuck, dude? Okay. I don't know how to like sign in on this shit. It's kind of annoying. So technologically unsavvy on this stuff. Settings of privacy. Mm-hmm. Well, at least it's a pain in the ass to sign into this stuff, dude. It's annoying as hell. Let's see here. Let's make this fucking easy, dude. I should have had all this stuff ready, but I never planned in a million years that I would be showing this stuff on stream or bringing it up. So bear with me. I'm only human. Okay, so Nightwolf Gaming. Have you seen the VA's latest bright ideas? Reducing compensation ratings if meds. Todd was talking about it too. Looks like we need to cover it, dude. Are helping vets with their condition. If meds are helping vets with their condition, oh, they're always going to try that, dude. I have not seen it, by the way. No, I've heard a little bit, but no. And if that's the case, let's be real here. The basis of why people are bringing that up and why it pisses me off is because the damage was done to you during your service, and you need that stuff to straighten you out and make life conductible. Why are you reducing anybody's ratings for the permanent fucking damage you did that they're going to take something they don't want to have to take? You know what I mean? I think it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Merlin Hurlin just became a brick by brick warrior.
Thank you, Merlin Hurlin. Appreciate you. I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure they were doing it already. Lots of anecdotal evidence, and I believe it. Bro, what in the actual fuck do I have to do to just sign into my damn account, dude? Mm-mm-mm. What is this called? Just a code here. There we go. I think I got it. Should be good. Okay. Thank God, bro. All right. I said something really strong worded in there too. I'll pull it up here. There you go. So bro said, this is one of the main reasons I ran for office. We have to ban assault weapons. This is just basically any center-fired ammunition, semi-automatic weapon. That's what he's talking about. Eventually made his way to the governor. Thank you on behalf of VA Helmer and Salim, VA Senate, for leading this. And this is the individual posting this, Mr. Singh here. And I said something very strong worded. I said, you screwed yourself on this one. I'm an Army veteran law enforcement officer in the excellent standing, living here in Virginia. Enjoy your last year being elected in the state. Pack your shit, bud. I was pretty pissed off about it, to be honest with you, because we've had a really great state, and they're like totally flipping everything on their head. And if that gets me in trouble, so be it. I'm speaking my mind on that. But he said right here, Brandon said, who wants to run against this guy? I'll be your first donor. And this got now some 17,000 likes. But I mean, people, and he's serious about this. Brandon said something like he was going to, Brandon's running for Congress against another guy that's had a lot of controversy, this Tony Gonzalez guy. And if you don't know who Brandon Herrera is, I will bring you up to speed really, really quick. Let's just do this on sub podcast. So you got Fat Electrician, you got you have Habitual Line Crosser, Eli here, you have what the hell? There's a bunch of people. There's somebody on here, Nico Ortiz is on here. There's probably a bunch of folks that you've seen, Angry Cops, that Brandon is friends with all these guys, and they do a really, really, really good job. Let me just pull up a short here real quick and see if I can.
William Henry Harrison got pneumonia at his inaugural speech because he didn't wear a coat.
That's Brandon.
He died 2 months into his presidency. 1841. He was president for 32 whole days.
Bro, in the middle of winter in D.C., if you don't wear a coat, I'm going to make so much fun of you if you fucking die.
I hate the fuck. I hate the fuck.
Makes so much money, too.
That's how he gets it.
So much money off of Brandon's merch.
No. See that.
So that's Brandon. He's known as an AK guy. He got his start as a gun tuber doing AK-47s and stuff like that. He's a pretty well-known individual. And when they did voting for who should be the ATF director, he actually had the majority vote by like a mile. Silent Professional, what's good? How you doing? Welcome on in. It's all part of Project 2025. Okay. I wouldn't know on that regard. Hold on, I moved something over that I didn't mean to. Yeah, so there we go. Elections have consequences. They do. They said, Merlin said, hello, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for popping in. I'm looking if I don't have meds for any of my issues. Plus, I've been 100% for over a decade, so they can't touch mine anymore. That's congratulations, Nightwolf. Thank you for sharing that. I'm very, very happy for you. That's good. I'm not in the same boat, but I do. I am very happy for my friends and family, community members, all the veterans who do end up in that rating. And I'm sorry that you are at that high of a level too, as well, because obviously, wouldn't we all want to just have a real fun, easy life without any, circumstances that cause us to be in that position? As the whole wedge issue is never going to go away. Politicians will be politicians. I personally haven't owned a gun in 20 years because of my SC mental health issues. This is my choice. I'm aware of it. Don't want to test it. So carry me. Hey, I got a great point for you too. My old man said to me, he said, what happens? Because my dad and me, we would argue a lot about Second Amendment. And he would go like, well, what happens when you lose your mind? He has some points, right? The thing that I consistently go back to is, I say this a lot, a well-armed society is a polite society. There's a TV show, and you're like, oh, TV show's fake. But, like, this is true, and I can speak on this because I had been a CO before, and I've seen prison life, very serious individuals. Honestly, what was stated in the show, the quote was, in prison, there's rules for a reason, but, like, inmate rules. And he said, there's respect and people give it because if you don't, it could cost you your life. And he said, in real life, we don't really see that. And so there really aren't as many consequences. So people go around saying dumb shit all the time. There's no consequences for that. So what I mean by that, like in armed society, meaning like I can attest for a fact that having everyone know that they are capable and again, to sideline what Jordan Peterson was talking about, that an armed society is a polite, or excuse me, that being capable of violence or whatever is a virtue. When you choose not to, you're capable, but you obviously don't use that unless we are, of course, in the worst of times. And so my dad's point is like, what happens when, something happens to you? Well, like, this is the reason for everyone being capable. The door suddenly gets held open for people and respect is usually given. Yes, things can happen, but another quote that I would put out to you is, if you want to give up freedoms in the place of security and safety, you deserve neither, right? And so that does bode very well, because if you give up those freedoms and your right to protect yourself, yes, there are some inherent risks, but if you give those up, what are you complaining about when you no longer have either of those things? And so with you commenting saying, hey, this is by my choice and this is how I feel about it, that takes an incredibly strong person and someone with a great appreciation for their own status. That is courage. That's extremely courageous, because obviously just exercising a right when you're not well or not doing well, that's not the right choice. You know what I mean? And so I have my own, I have my very own personal set of rules within my family. And this came from a very, very high up individual that was going through, again, another buddy of mine, went through a rough time at a low point, but now is about as high up as you could get. I'll put it that way, just about. But at that time, he gave up all stuff to his dad because he knew he wasn't in a great place, man. And that's kind of my rule on it, is that if you're going through anything, take your stuff. If you ever have any bad thoughts that you shouldn't be having, you're ever in a rough spot, take your stuff and give it to somebody you trust. No questions asked. And if you're a veteran here and you hear me say that, I think you understand exactly what I mean, and you would probably agree with it. And if you don't, we'll have to politely agree to disagree. But you are also responsible for your choices, right? So thank you for sharing that with me, Carrie. And I think that takes a lot of honorable, courageous act to both bring that up and say that here publicly. So kudos to you. That's my point. It was never about the money for me. It was about making sure my family has security. That is really important too. We might be able to chat a little bit offline too. I wanted to talk to you, or maybe talk to you about a little bit about that, going over to Night Wolf there. I do believe, depending on your circumstances and stuff, and we covered this before with Donnie, I do believe, depending on what you got, what you have going on, that stuff does transfer. So if you are, I say unfortunate enough, like if you are unfortunately 100%, because look, to get to 100%, you have to have some shit going on. You know what I mean? But fortunately, if that is what you have been deemed to be your rating, I'll tell you this: you probably absolutely need that in your life to help you get ahead. Otherwise, this is why veterans end up homeless. This is why we were trained. You don't need help. Take your Motrin 800 and drive on, all that stuff. I'm a pretty, I would say, well-off, successful, pretty straightened guy, but I wasn't always after service. And I'll tell you, I'm very grateful for that little bit of cushion that's been given there. And I think it is one of the great things about our country. So if you are there, I totally relate with that. And I think it's a wonderful thing too, especially if you really think, because a lot of it has to come going back to the service thing. You're trying to think about those that matter to you more than yourself, right? Your kids, your wife, the greatest things in life, right? That kind of stuff. Yeah, he quoted. I might have said, vets need to stop voting against their better interest. Yeah, that's true too. I need to get that Arc Raiders. I keep forgetting to do it. I need to get that Arc Raiders emblem too. I think it's really sick. Yeah. Quote it. Yes. So wait a minute. Ginger Feely, what up? I'm hoping there's still a chance for me. I'm at 80%. Yeah, there's always a chance. The biggest thing I can tell you is go get a VSL. Go get a veteran service officer, a good one. Take your recommendations, take your time with it. And we even had a guest on, Army veteran, retired guy. He actually went in, did get a lawyer. He wasn't saying get a lawyer or a legal team, and definitely use somebody reputable. But he was saying in certain he worked at VA, and he even said the same. He admitted it flat out. He said there are certain circumstances in which clearly you might not have records, or depending on what time of service you were in, if those records were lost, you might need full legal representation. So don't put that out of the window either. Good old vitamin M. Yeah. So it was never about the money for me. I don't know what that looks like. 1,000,000% to me. Might be 1,000,000,000 or 10 million. How many zeros in there? 1, 2. I don't have my glass on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that 10 million? I'm definitely not 100%, but I'm grateful for SC. Okay. What the fuck is SC? I might be missing that. You can never give up the freedoms. You're right. You shouldn't, right? I did my CHL a long time ago in Texas. They are very specific about when you can use it and when you can't. I still remember it. Gotcha. Yeah, they'll be chipping away at your rights no matter what you say nonstop. And I'm going to tell you what, they're working on our kids, you know what I mean? Like, that's how they do this shit. The shit I'm showing you here, keep pulling up the PlayStation, and I meant to put up the PC. So shit I'm showing you over here with this guy. Where is he at here? This guy here. They're working on the kids that are going to be your future leaders. They want to get the 18-year-old's mind to believe that this is because they haven't experienced anything. They have no fears. They've had it good. They go to the universities, you know what I mean? They get indoctrinated with some, professor's idiotic fucking political ideology. No matter which side it's on, you're there to learn about a subject. Unless you're there for political science, it just shouldn't be a discussion. And I know this because I have kids that are 18 to 21. You know what I mean? And they vary on their political beliefs. But if they reach them, they don't have to reach us. Like, they're going to be the ones making the decision in the next 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Because you got them voting. That's how they work on it. It's super predatory, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's very manipulative. I just think about you at 18 and how easy you were able to be convinced to join the military and do everything, right? I mean, that's why they pick 18-year-olds. You can't buy a pack of cigarettes, but you can go off to war. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You know what I mean? It's not even a question of what's going on there. Service connection. Got you. Yeah. I kept thinking South Carolina. I don't know why. And then I was like, I know it's got to be like service connected or something. Yeah. I don't want to poke the bear because they're mostly right. It just drives me crazy. I had filed for, before you ETS'd, I would have been 100%. I got you. Yeah. Yeah, I was advised, but I was advised against filing anything before I ETS, and they did all my paperwork wrong, and I really fucking regret that. I'm going to be honest with you. I enlisted at 25 after seven years in factories. That's really respectful because you had some life experience. I would be full of shit, dude, if I told you that I didn't have some romanticized ideas at 17 years old of how my life was going to turn out pre 9/11, joining the Army infantry. Like, that's crazy. Right? That's possibly not true. You know what I mean? However, it was the right choice for me. But I served a lot of people. It probably wasn't the right choice, to be honest with you. So that's really respectful when you have had a chance to see some shit and then you still join. Yeah, I got a few buddies like that. Sketch was like that. My boy T, I can't use his name just because he's still doing the thing. You know what I mean? Still doing the job. But yeah, they both joined after, and my kudos is off. My hat's off to them because I mean it is a totally different level when you answer the call as opposed to like the way I did it, which was just join because I thought it was like the most amazing thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? Even though my parents were Vietnam era parents and had two uncles served in Vietnam, and my dad's uncles all served in World War II. And they were very against me joining the military, to put it that way. But yeah, it was the right choice for me. Like I said, not everybody. Yeah. So server's connected. I think good call, silent. I know you guys are. I don't know if it should be showing on both channels. Sometimes the chat doesn't work for both YouTube and Twitch. I'm not sure. Can't buy a beer, but you can die for your country. That's absolutely fucking insanity to me. And you can F right off with that, dude. Personally, if you're a politician and you think it's cool that you can make it so 21-year-olds can't buy beer and a pack of cigarettes and this and that, and they can vote, blah, 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 and you're making us, hear me out. If you're old enough and you're serving actively in your country, that's right there. If you can join at 18, I'm sorry, but the law should change for you. You might be government property, but you should be allowed to have a beer and you should be able to smoke a cigarette if that's what you want. I don't think smoking's good and I don't think drinking's good. All right. I had a problem using both of those things, but I'm telling you something. All right. There's a reason why so many people have a tobacco problem when they're facing, combat or deployment or whatever, or stressful situations in general. A lot of people smoked back in the day because it is like some of that little bit of a stress relief. And the idea behind it is that you're living fast and you don't know if tomorrow's going to be there. So you're like, the fuck do I care about a cigarette? What do I care about a beer? And rightfully so. If you're 19 and you're facing the most serious of life situations that a human being will ever face, again, fuck right off if you don't think that a kid who's serving this country can't have a beer and a smoke. You know what I mean? I don't care what anybody says. I was lucky enough to be in Germany, so that didn't apply to me. And I could buy a pack of smokes at 18. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm pretty sure we all fantasize like that. I had no idea that mortars could be affecting hearing loss or airborne could affect knees. Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? We all had a romanticized version of it. Maybe even a little bit, even if you joined after. But I do want to make that a very good point that you were manipulated, to some extent. Either movies, propaganda, the news. You didn't get the whole picture, and rightfully so. You shouldn't expose individuals to that. But to some part, the videos you watched about Ranger School or becoming a Navy SEAL or whatever, they're not realistic to what is actually going to be going on. Let's be real here. You know what I mean? But you can't have a beer. You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. I did want to point out here in this comment here. So he's saying this guy showing how everybody here in the new Socialist Republic of Virginia over here, they're voting for all these crazy changes in the gun laws. That go completely against Heller, that go completely against Bruin decision, which if you don't know what those are, they're pretty well-written Supreme Court cases in which they said, if it doesn't fall within the traditions of firearms ownership in the country, it's an unlawful infringement. And these guys just don't fucking care. So these guys aren't from here. And the comments are pretty fucking brutal. Some of them are borderline a little bit, I would say racist in some of them. My sentiment is not of all these people. So I'm just going to be upfront about that we're reading these. I'm not trying to offend anybody here because obviously if you're of the Sikh religion, or I think the other guy, he's from Bangladesh, no problem with that. I have a problem with you. The big argument here is that you're not assimilating into American culture, which means that you don't know the history. You're not really studying it. You're going against it. What the fuck are you doing? And that's what a lot of these people are going to be saying here. So I just want to let you know that I share the sentiment of, I don't really think what in the heck you're really what you're politically talking about or deciding on here for all of us and our freedoms when you aren't from here and you're not assimilating. If you're taking an oath to the Constitution but you're not following it, I have a fucking problem with that. I do. And so I'll be very clear that I'm not okay with that. Okay. But for anybody in here who wants to be racist or a hater or a dickhead, I'm not with that. I'm not signing my name to that. All right. But I'm gonna expose it here on the as long as it's appropriate as I can here. But you can see here, Delegate Mr. Singh here had posted 183 likes, right? And he makes this post. Brandon comes in and he gets 94,000 views, right? He gets this really, really viewed up with 17,000 likes. A little bit other, probably won't know until next year. Not my district. It seems like every official is in order. I live in Virginia, or I would just give the commie turd northeast part of Virginia back to DC. The sentiment's pretty strong here. I don't really see too many positive ones with this guy. He's a blue falcon commie LARPing as a Democrat. I mean, these are some real strong worded things that they make me laugh at very least. And not in a like laughing at them. I think they're fucking pretty, some are kind of accurate. I'm glad Space with Virginia, these are comments of Virginia, go to the 2A friendly, please. Fund someone to help defeat the street shitter. Oh, seriously, we cannot have. See, like this guy here, you know, we cannot have Sings in charge of anything. Where's America's spirit? You know, I don't even know if a lot of these posts, like 20% of all X posts are fucking bots here to enrage you. So some of these aren't even real. You know what I mean? Like this guy here he very well may have been a Vietnam guy. It says tunnel rat. My spidey senses go off a little bit. Enforce these laws if they want them enforced. Stay stack up. Okay, so he's actually talking about some legit shit. So he is probably legit. But I do want to bring this up because regardless of what some of these comments may say, and you get fucking whacked out on politics on the internet, and you're losing your mind over some of these subjects, and you're arguing with your family members, just understand you might not even be arguing with a real person. And it'll help it should bring some sanity back to you, because a lot of this it's information warfare from people who are adversaries to our nation. It is clear as day. I mean, that's what I would do if I as a tactician, how would I defeat us? And I think Sean Ryan said this very well. I wouldn't defeat us kinetically. It would be through exactly what you see going on. So let me read some of these comments again. And then I think I'm going to try to pull up that Sean Ryan short. I love Sean Ryan to death. I think he's an excellent guy, and he's the real deal, bro. Say what you will. Back in the day, people used to be like, "Oh, I don't know about this and that with Sean Ryan." I think that guy is fantastic. So I'm going to post up a video of him talking about that a little bit here in a second. I want to take some comments, and yeah, I'm saying it flat out. I think Sean Ryan's an excellent man. He speaks of good ethics, and he makes a mistake, he owns it. Go look at some of his training stuff. That guy don't mess around. I've been in the business. I've done that job. Not CIA, not Navy SEAL or anything like that, but I'm saying I've been in the tactical space and business for a long time. I know when somebody's legit, somebody's a top dog instructor. This guy's fucking no joke. You know what I mean? Sean Ryan's that guy. And you can just see it. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? And he says something really straight on point about that. I'm gonna see if I can find it here in a minute. So, yeah, Nightwolf. I did say I would like to talk to you off stream. I'd love to do that. If you could reach out to me in the Discord and shoot me a message, I would love that. And we could do a one-on-one chat a little bit. That goes on anybody too. You reach out to me. What up, Skiz? Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, by the way, I hope I didn't get raid there and miss something, but the government works as well. Yeah, the government works as well as Ricochet. It's a great fucking comment, Matt. Hold on one second. I'm gonna ask my wifey for a cup of coffee. I just want to scream to the mic. She might be passed out asleep. I might have to. I'll just have to take a second to go grab it. Yeah, Matt is right about there too, though. Can't smoke, drink, vote. To buy cigarettes or alcohol, 18 in Europe and the rest of the world. To buy cigarettes or alcohol is 18 in Europe and the rest of the world. I mean, when I was in Germany, you could drink at 16. Buy cigarettes off the side of the street out of a machine. I was kind of like that here in the city. Could you grab me a cup of coffee, baby? I'm super sorry. No. Oh, it did. I'm getting tired. I love you. Tomorrow's my 10-year anniversary to the most perfect woman on the planet, unless she doesn't get me coffee. Then it was a total mistake. All right, lady? He's pissed. Sorry. All right, so let's see. Yeah, it was like I said, 16. I think you could go out to the bar till like 12 o'clock, something like that. I love you to death. Thank you so much, and I'm very sorry I bothered you. What?
I was just upstairs getting ready for bed.
Yeah. You know, I was chatting with somebody earlier. I was watching Hayes stream, DMZ, and a guy, I said, what do I get my wife for a 10-year anniversary? And he was joking, and he said, it's my wife's.
Sleep.
Huh?
A full night's sleep.
A full night's sleep, huh? Hey. He said, what are you doing in a gaming stream asking the day before your anniversary? And he said, I would get her a bunch of kitchen appliances and tell her to get back in the kitchen.
Yeah. Make that attempt one time.
I love you.
Try me. Remember what you got me for the first Christmas together?
No.
I do.
What is
We
it?
just talked about it.
Oh, the vacuum.
No.
No,
Laptop and what else?
I don't remember.
The knife block.
Oh, what about it? Oh, so the knife. Oh, I gotcha. You're going to use your Second Amendment rights with the knife block on me.
Yeah, he assaulted me with stupidity.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Oh, my God. Hold on. A little bit of headache, too. All right. Yeah, so I was in the other stream, and he was like, why are you asking the day before your anniversary we should get? And I've been stressing about this like crazy. She's been stressing about it. And I was like, I thought going in and asking single DMZ dads, unemployed gamers, who would be the best. Everybody had great answers. I really appreciate our community, so it was pretty cool. So anyways, yeah, over on Twitch, you said earlier about kids riding bikes outside. Ah, the memories. It's just not in the U.S. I'm in South America at the moment, and it used to be the same way here. Oh, yeah, man. Pounding it. I can remember I used to walk miles through the woods to a buddy's house. No questions asked. I was born in a really big city, grew up my later years in country, and I can remember I had a couple buddies. One lived like 4 miles away, and I would walk through the woods to get to their house. In country that there's no civilization if you go in the wrong direction for a 45-minute drive. So just a different time, you know. I remember being pretty young. I can remember when I lived out in Cali and my mom got together with my dad and I was older, I went down and was able to dig in a local lot. Once we moved out of the city, I can remember digging a China, like trying to dig a hole from one side of the earth to other. That was the idea, digging a China. And I can remember digging in a pit till it was literally my hands were bleeding and it was dark out. And my parents never really, my great parents, and they wouldn't think twice. I'd come back. I didn't make it down to China. I go, no, I didn't make it. I'd be all sad and shit. And that hole probably wasn't deeper than 6 feet. You know what I mean? But it was a different time, dude. You know what I mean? Like just totally different time. And it's sad we're not like that anymore. I want to be honest with you. If you didn't experience it, it might be hard for you to fathom, but like for you younger folks in the stream, I will say that like you had you didn't like when someone wanted to call you and we didn't have cell phones, a lot of you will relate with this. You just didn't answer the phone. It just went straight to voicemail. Call the house phone. You weren't there, or you got in an accident with your car. There was no cell phones. Radio communication, CBs. That was like it, bro. You know what I mean? Louisiana. I'm not from California. Yeah, dude, I would never fucking live there. Some of it's still some beautiful places to visit, but yeah, it's a shithole now. Hate to say it. Is what it is. Sean, I got to see if I can find this. I just want to let you guys know too. You know, I never want to be like in an echo chamber, But I want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you guys. I know everybody, I might be brash and some people might not agree with me. And I was talking with a buddy of mine who's he's a gay guy. And I was like, I was saying to him, you know, I kind of felt bad because I make a lot of jokes about my gay buddies about being like, oh, he's dating with crossplay off, you know. And I know I've been in other people's streams and said that, but sometimes I'm like kind of, I come off as a little rude and might hurt some feelings. I mean no harm by it, and I think some gay folks are fabulous. You know what I mean? Like some of my buddies they're great. You know, and they know I mean no harm by it. But I do come off that I don't agree. I'm not agreeable to everyone. I know a lot of people think I'm funny, but I'm not just trying to be an asshole. You know, I might not always say the most appropriate things. And I don't mean anything by that, but I do want to say thank you to you guys who, especially too, those that might not totally agree with a lot of things or live a different life. You come in here and make me feel like I can be myself. And that's a really good thing that I think we're missing today. And I hope that the rest of you feel the same way. I hope that you come to this channel and you talk. I hope you feel like you can speak your mind and you're not going to be punished for that. I'm not going to hide the fact that I will not correct someone who's saying something out of their mind. If you come here fucking hammered or you say some shit that's off keel or it's truly hateful or something like that, I'm not going to let it fly. I'll call you on it. But you should do that in your real life. Like, I don't want to act like very much different, you know what I mean, from having a conversation in my living room. And that's always the way I kind of wanted to be with the channel. And maybe that's a brand risk to some people or some people. I've met a couple people that don't really want to network because I am a little opinionated on things like this that are important to me and I'm passionate about. And the thing is, I don't fucking care. I really hope that you guys appreciate it. I hope you feel like you have a home. I hope you also feel that you can put me in check, I guess, too. And call me on some bullshit. You know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you to you guys. I don't say it enough. A lot of times we're gaming and goofing off and doing some whole other shit. But I don't think I say it enough in a serious tone to let you know where I really stand with this. So thank you guys. You know what I mean? Super Fuzz is the name of the movie. I've seen it. I'm almost positive. By the way, I can do a pretty good Louisiana impression. Yeah. Man, there's one I can't say. I can't say because well, it was a guy we arrested who was he would have been in the files. Let's put it that way. This guy said some wild shit about being from New Orleans. And I can't repeat what he said. If you were there, this guy was guilty. This guy was a fucking bad guy. He was a bad guy. He said some wild shit, but he had the most Louisiana accent in the world. I wish I could tell a story, but I can't even think of a way to express it. This is some dark humor shit, but it's nothing funny about it. This guy said some fucking crazy ass shit. But I will tell you, some of my best friends in the service came from Louisiana too. I remember my buddy Chuck Landry from Louisiana. I had another buddy who had all of his teeth blown out in Iraq. He had been from Louisiana. He was a real wild guy. You want to talk about somebody who I don't think really showed that he had PTSD. We used to go to the gym all the time back at Fort Benning, and he didn't really exude like it really affected him. I'm sure it did, but he's a badass motherfucker, dude. He was a cool dude. This dude, he was a big dude, man. He introduced me to Webby and Lil Boosie, whole bunch of Louisiana shit. You probably know what I'm talking about, but yeah. Landry is a very, very Louisiana name. This guy, man, I really want to say what he said. I would get fucking banned if I said what this guy said. I'm trying to think what he said. Okay, I'm trying to do the impression. I can remember it like it was yesterday, dude. I can only say the first part. He'd be like, man, you don't understand about New Orleans. He's like, you were going to alleyway. She wouldn't even know who did it. That's like the most of what I could say. This guy was really fucking out there, bro. It was a wackadoodle guy. But a lot of good people come from Louisiana. It's sad that I have that one memory from there, but I met a lot of good motherfuckers, dude, from Louisiana, dude. Coming straight out the bayou. You know what I mean? I saw in the early years, but I had no idea the actions were really the actors were real Italians. Yeah, you know Polly Walnuts on The Sopranos? He was like a real mob guy. You could look it up. Speaking of that. Where? Okay, was it Sean Ryan? Sean Ryan on. I might have to find it. Oh, I feel like I'm a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna be able to find this. Let me see if I can find it in my history, bro. So I don't waste your guys' time. Dylan put out a really good video of why he doesn't use the one-shot shotgun. I was watching that video earlier today. I really recommend you go see it. It's really good. Really, really good. This Mondami guy, boy. We are in a troubling time. That is for sure. Well, fuck, man. I'm just gonna have to click on a few of them to see if I can find it. Sean Ryan show shorts. There we go. Okay, let's pull this up here in a second here. You don't tard me. Sap sucking, moose riding, Canuck, so we good, bruh. Hey, man, thank you, Skiz. Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you. To buy cigarettes, alcohol at 18 Europe. I said I read that one. I read that. Yes, sir. There we go. Okay, just make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm in Discord. Just fire me a message. I'm usually on most. Got you. Okay, let me pull this up here. My man Sean Ryan.
A lot of people don't realize if someone is willing to commit a crime to come into the country, they're involved in other crimes. And we always try to say this about.
That's a really good fucking point, too. That's not the video, though. I wonder about this one, dude. I haven't seen this one. I'm going to check it out.
War is okay as long as it is done for the right reasons. I think we would look at something like World War II and the injustice of the Holocaust, and we would say it was right for nations to get involved in that. That doesn't mean that it's perfect, but those kind of understandings of the world around us and safeguarding the weak and taking care of people who are being abused, I think that there is a place for that. And we see that within the enacting of Israel in the ancient world being under a theocracy. God is their leader, and God is actually enacting his justice when he tells them to go and wipe out certain nations. War is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think things can be changed, a little bit of interpretation. And Sean, one of the reasons I like Sean is because he's unapologetically himself. That's something I respect greatly, whether I agree with you or not. Bro, it's gonna drive me fucking crazy if I can't find what he was saying. I don't know. I feel bad because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it, bro. But he even said it.
Not one of our intelligence agencies said that they were enriching uranium. It was Mossad that came along and told us that.
Well, the first thing is you have to remember, Mossad has way better access in Iran than we do. The U.S. does have bad access in Iran, so they've always had to rely on other people. The program is real. The program is much farther along than our government was aware. I think they were caught a little bit with their pants down and realize it is more advanced than we thought. Remember, for like 15 years, they kept saying it's not advancing. Sorry, a program does not advance for 15.
I don't know, man. See, this is a subject here where, I mean, I'm not there, man. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm very torn on all of that. You know what I mean? I think she does a great job. I think Sean does a really good job.
One of my goals this year is to become.
But here's an example of Sean. He went fucking haywire over one topic in, I think it's this one. I'm going to play that, and then I'll show you how, and you know, if I can't sell you on him, that's fine. But I do want to show you who the man is here. So, by the way, Sean Ryan as well was a Navy SEAL, and he worked for the CIA. So, just so you know, if you don't know who Sean Ryan is, I'd be kind of surprised. Aliens are real. Yeah, we're going to click on that. The movie The Booze Brothers, I think they dug it out. Dug to China. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Exactly. Super. That was a good point. Somebody speeds, it doesn't make them an armed bank robber. If someone speeds, it does. I don't know. I'm kind of lost on that. Also, hi. Yeah. To you. What did I say though? What did I say? Yeah. So if someone speeds, it doesn't make them an armed bank robber. No, I mean I agree with that. That's what you're saying, right? Doesn't make them a criminal on one thing, but you have to articulate it. I probably lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. So let me click on this and let me show you how he corrects himself.
Quiet about Pam Bondi in front of Congress the other day, talking about how the Dow's up to 50,000. Nobody gives a fuck, because what you should be talking about is
it's kind of quiet.
To investigate and prosecute any pedophiles that were running around on Epstein Island that you're affiliated with. But we didn't talk about that, did we? Oh, and what's the excuse? What was the excuse? Oh, if we prosecute everybody, the whole system would go down. Well, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like how Trump ran his campaign. Let's drain the swamp. Doesn't that sound a lot like draining the swamp? It actually is drain the swamp served up to you on a fucking silver platter. But you're not going to take it, are you? You're going to protect pedophiles. Rather than go after them and hope that everybody's happy that the Dow hit 50,000. Are you fucking out of your mind? I guess the whole drain the swamp campaign promise was another fucking bullshit lie, huh? Man, the lies are stacking up fast. I've never seen so many fucking lies appear in, what, a year?
Sean don't swear a lot.
Year. Look at all the fucking lies. You know, I wanted to talk to you about something else, too. Then you got Pam Bondi and what's that other guy's name? Todd Blanche. Yeah, running around giving Ro Khanna and Massey all this shit because they accidentally put two names that are apparently innocent, out that were in the Epstein files. Well, I got fucking news for you. You have two guys that are in Congress that are actually doing shit, and you give them shit because they made a mistake when they're trying to do the fucking job of the entire Department of Justice, because nobody over there will do their fucking job when it comes to putting pedophiles away in prison. So you give them shit because two people are trying to do the job of the entire Department of Justice. Fuck you. And here's another thing I'm getting tired of, is seeing all these fucking politicians, congressmen, senators, fucking talking about all the shit that they saw in the unredacted files. And then you know what they do? They go right to X and they post about it and tell us all how shocked we would be of what's in those fucking files. Guess what?
It's a silver platter, bro.
Guess what?
A silver platter.
Senators, there's the speech and debate clause that says you cannot be sued for anything you say on the House floor. So here's a tip. Get to fucking work. Permission granted. Oh, and one last thing. One last thing. I saw this shit pop up the other day. Obama goes on some random podcast that nobody's ever heard of and just happens to drop, "Oh, aliens are real." Yeah, tell me that shit's not fucking orchestrated. Right in the middle of the biggest pedophile ring exposed in the fucking world. All of a sudden, we're gonna drop that aliens are real. Fuck you, motherfucker. Fuck you. Fucking aliens. Fuck off.
Now that seems really brash. If you don't watch that, I'm really sorry if you had to turn
What
it
am I
around
going-
and you had. But he's a man of faith, Christian guy. Say what you will. Sean's a high speed dude. He doesn't swear a lot. He's very professional. He was clearly very emotionally set on that. You could tell when he's kind of popping off a little bit. I think he addresses it here, but I respect him a lot for that. It's pretty damn good, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Really low on YouTube? What do you mean? This is the most I agreed with American in a while. Yeah. I mean, this is why I'm really in tune with Sean because, he constantly gets like threatened with lawsuits for injustice. He just doesn't really bend the knee at all in my viewing of him or as an online personality. He doesn't really bend the knee to what everybody wants him to in politics and of power. People threaten him with lawsuits all the time. Take down this episode. Don't talk about this subject, blah, blah, blah. And Sean is unapologetically himself, just like I said. And, whether you agree with him or not, I think that it absolutely demands some respect. Because how many people that just say it like it is? You know what I mean? That's a rare thing these days. That's why I really do appreciate Sean. And a lot of things he stands for and he speaks about, I relate with super hard, man. Yeah, I just dig it, dude. I found faith kind of a similar way. I have a similar background. He wants to be a great dad. I want to be a great dad. He truly is a patriot. He really does want to serve. He wants to serve humanity. He's growing with that. He served his country. I hope to be surrounded by people like that, personally. I think he's trying to do the best he can, and he owns it when he messes it up. You know what I mean? And I respect that. So hopefully that can make sense. Yeah. I was sitting there. It seems like he took that personal. That wasn't very Christian of him, in my opinion. That does not demand respect. Sorry. So it's good. It's good that you say that. And I'm going to let this play because you're getting a very different version of him. And so that's why I showed that because I think a lot of people really took that one version of him as being like totally against what I just said. That's why I showed it that way. That's the worst side you're going to see of him in that respect. You're talking about a guy who doesn't have a straight past by any means. You can look at it all you want. Went down to Colombia, got in trouble with drugs, gangs, cartels, you name it. Got in all kinds of trouble. Was a Navy SEAL, rough and tough guy. Got involved with the CIA. They knew what they were getting into it with him. Got out after, started a podcast, reformulated himself, kept up. He continues to run a tactics and training school, Vigilante Elite. He's trained a lot of high-speed actors, UFC people, other, police, you name it. And this is not his normal vernacular. It's not his normal verbiage. It's not what he's normally talking about. And so he's going to kind of address that here a little bit. And he says something that I agree with you on silent profession. I agree with you on this point. However, I will say, you said he's not very Christian of him. I will say this. I think we're all sinners, right? If you believe in Christianity, we're all sinners. We're not above it. And it's owning it and being sorrow, right? That's what a lot of Christianity is about. And so being empathetic, I don't want to be judgmental towards another Christian person who tries to do the right thing. I think we need to have some leeway with that. In my personal opinion, in my faith, that's the way I see it. I'm not trying to change anything you're saying or what you're saying. I'm just giving my viewpoint on it and hope that expands on it a little bit. But maybe this will shed a little bit of how maybe that's a little bit different if you don't watch it. Sean, the one thing I would defend him on, and I think I would be a little bit personal on, is that when you come from a very vicious job, violence was your profession. It's the thing is I know so many guys that don't find it's very difficult to find a man who stands for really ethical and proper moral behavior. And my buddy Eddie, dude, he calls me a lot for swearing too much. To be emotionally in control and be a really well-trained individual in all types of fighting schools, if you will, you're surrounded by a lot of Viking warrior individuals, and it's hard to break out of that almost ideological idolatry. Like when you worship the gun, you live by the sword, die by the sword, but you should keep the sword sheathed. This is a more biblical reference, if you will. When you worship the sword, I think most Christians would agree that you are doing a form of idolatry. If you were born with strength and of that you were able to serve on a battlefield or whatever, and you were born to be a protector, you should be above and more in control of your emotions. It takes a much stronger person. I think he expresses this pretty well, personally, from those that I've served with that fall into that category, if you will. And I hope that I explain that pretty well. Maybe you see it differently, but I'll let him speak for himself
This year
here
is
for a
to
second.
become more stoic, to quit letting my emotions get the best of me, to approach things with a level head. And yesterday, I failed to do that. I sent out a post in rage. I let my emotions get the best of me, and I made a mistake. And it sucks to eat a fucking humble pie like this. And that's why nobody does it. But I hate liars, and I can't fucking live with myself if I lie. So I need to correct the record once again.
Oh, he's still
Pam
swearing a
Bondi
lot.
did
I
not
don't feel like he
say
swears a lot,
if we
but maybe I guess so.
prosecute everybody in the Epstein files, the entire system will go down. Now, I saw probably at least 100 posts on social that said in quotations that she had said that. And then I saw in the comments people asking where they can find where she said that. So I went to go dig, and I couldn't find it. And then I did more research, and I found out that was not true. I fucked up, and I'm sorry. I told you I would always correct the record if I fucked up, and that's what I'm doing right now. But
now he does this a lot. He does it. You might not think that was the most. Maybe you don't feel like it was truly heartfelt or whatever, but I've seen him actually own some real hard stuff that a lot of people would just gloss over. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Yeah. So on the comment that you made about a lady who was talking about how if somebody was going to break the law to get into our country, that it means you would do other crimes. I think that was what she said. I told her, yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Or at least that she paraphrased. It's in what do you call it? It's insinuated, I guess, maybe a little bit, that like, okay, if you would break the law to do one, it's more likely that you're not going to look at it that way. And from my professional experience, I would say no, actually. Yes, I've seen it. And I would say, like, so in working law enforcement, there's a lot of narcissistic traits that end up you could be susceptible to, because you're constantly exposed to people who commit petty crimes and crimes all the time. And so you start realizing, like, the guy making your food at Five Guys or works at they're criminals and they have a background. You know, because you know what I mean? You can't tell your family, you're not supposed to talk about it because it's illegal to discuss somebody's criminal background that doesn't know about it. That's their personal information. And so you have to be professional about that, but it can make you very narcissistic as a dad or a mom or whatever else. And so I experienced a lot of individuals that were illegally entered, and ICE, believe it or not, had been around plenty before then, and they were very difficult, the people that we had to deal with that were illegally entered that we didn't know what to do with. It was a very difficult process. We didn't know what to do, because it's kind of like how do you deal with their constitutional rights and so on and so forth with the rest and stuff like that. So having ICE be able to come in was a kind of a blessing, if you will, to be able to take the custody of that individual to deal with that. Now, for those people that I experienced that, those guys did not fucking care. The guys that were criminals that came here for criminal activity, they did not care. They did not care what laws you made in it. That is correct. However, I have known, and I grew up in a largely Mexican populated area when I was very young. I grew up in Salinas, California, and very dangerous neighborhood that I lived in. And I can tell you, though, that even in that situation, and the reason I say that is because there was all kinds of people. There was white folks, black folks, Vietnamese folks, Mexican folks. There was all different kinds of people. And the thing that I'm going to express here is that even though I was I was just in the hood, you know what I mean? My mom was a single mom at the time, and we didn't have much going on. And I could tell you that 99% of people were also in that situation. They worked hard. They might not have been here legally. Yes, there was a lot of individuals, but those people tend to be very by the book. They were trying to be structured so that they didn't get caught. So, the one doesn't go hand in hand. They've entered illegally. And why I'm bringing this up and why I agree with Supa's statement is because, however, and I want to preface this. I don't want to get everybody all fired up and pissed off. Oh, Brick doesn't believe this or that. No, I'm going to be very fucking clear where I'm at. But I want to say that we do have to do something about it, right? But from my experience, right, just because you did one, there are many cases in which somebody had to escape a situation that they were in or wanted simply to better themselves. And the reason why this is such a hot topic of debate, and there's a lot of fucking idiots out there that are going after actual federal law enforcement, that is their duty. And I can attest that because I've worked in that field and worked with these individuals, and they are not what some of these politicians are saying they are. But I will tell you that something needs to be done. However, it is a very difficult place to be in because, I've met a lot of people. The question becomes this. I've met individuals that were, one individual in a family might be illegal. Another person might be a citizen. How that happened? Well, relationships, babies happen. You're born, whatever, laws. But can you blame the individual who was, it's tough because you can't, the only person you can be mad at is the person who didn't, it's really what falls down on the laws that weren't same across the board all the time. And this is why you can't really have gray area with it. If you were allowed into the country, why would you punish, if you will, the individual who might have had a clean record? And I think that's where a lot of people, the whole country's torn on this right now. It's very, very difficult. So I will agree with you on the fact that just because you did one does not mean necessarily that you are a criminal at heart and that's all you're ever going to do. Yes, it was a crime what you did, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a criminal. Totally agree with that. However, we do need to have a logical system. And the point that I want to make about this, and I'll be very clear, okay, from a tactical perspective, if I wanted to, as I said before, not a kinetic strike, the United States has a massive advantage and has had a massive advantage for 100+ years on GDP, military spending, insane advantage. The only time we weren't was Germany in World War II. their GDP exceeded ours in military spending. Other than that, we've pretty much held that by a mile. So we have an advantage that other countries have. So as a tactician, you have to think, how would I defeat my adversary, right? And so you wouldn't do that through kinetics. You would do that through politics. You would do that through influence. Today, social media, right? You would do that through that. You would do that through lax border policies. If you wanted to get somebody, infiltrate somebody in that's going to do something of malicious intent, they do it that way. That's just clearly obvious. That's what would happen. And so something clearly does need to be done about it. There's no question about it. But unfortunately, there are victims in the way that you're expressing it. There definitely is victims. And I recognize that. Yeah. I got to read a bunch of these. I'm falling behind here, and I apologize for that. I want to know which Canadians may have been on the list. I don't know. I do agree with Matt. Said you should take elected officials that lie personal. I think what he's saying, like, they should be held accountable. Yeah. There should be much more accountability. Totally agree with that. I disagree on that, but I do disagree. I do agree. So this is a seconding on super fats. I do secure our borders and make sure that would do worse crimes. We can just turn them around. So like cartel members and stuff like that. I totally agree. And I'll second on that. Add into that we need a system that is able to vet an individual and say, okay, you've been here, you have this many family members, you've been doing this part of society. Okay, maybe they detain them, but like we do have to have some type of process, some type of fair process. I don't have the solution. All I know is if, let's say you've been here for 20 years, you've never committed a crime, you've been an asset to the society, you don't get to cut the line. However, there should be some type of process that kind of is an option, if you will. I saw one kid that got sent back to, one guy got sent back to South Africa, and one guy got sent back to the UK, and he's been here since he was like 8 years old, dude. And he just got dumped off in the streets, man. And the crazy part about this, you're like, oh, great break. That's one in a million example. No, believe it or not, that guy made a video saying, man, I had it so good where I'm from. And I just want to be back. But he said, he agreed with his circumstances, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What's this guy's name? This is Sean Ryan, by the way. That's all it was showing. I worked at trucking. Lots of illegals there. Just got to go back to any trucks. I couldn't believe how states made it easy for them to get CDLs and they were illegal. And illegals killed families. Surprise, surprise. I've experienced that as well, too. I met a guy. I worked with a guy personally. Before becoming a deputy, I worked with a guy that had a completely fake name, spoke very good English. I remember being at the bar with this guy, and he was like, hey, we're like, dude, it was cold out. Like, we want to get a ride. He's like, don't worry, I got a car. He gave a ride. Turned out he stole the car, and I'm not shitting him. Anyways, he would get arrested, and then eventually I ended up becoming a deputy, and I had him in custody. It just was handed my way. I said, oh, I remember. I used to work with you. You know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, man, I got in a little bit of trouble, blah, 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 blah. And it was kind of a heinous crime, dude. They sent him back. And he was back within 2 years. And then he had a murder rap the second time he came back. So it is absolutely not untrue that just nobody by design is doing anything wrong. But the point I was trying to make that is we are skipping across all the other individuals that we have issues with globally. Clearly, if it is just open and they are going undetected, because those people are committing, they haven't commit the crime yet. They're here for nefarious purposes, and it's very clearly that is a weak spot in our armor, if you will. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it has been no national secret of any state sponsored activity that through espionage, we've had sleeper cells, other countries have had sleeper cells in different countries of all aspects, but it always used to have to be like all the documents in a row. Like the individual had to be a citizen and they had to make a family, and their cover had to be really, really good during the Cold War. Now, if you think about it, all Western countries have like opened their borders. Who's to say who the heck's here now? Like, you know what I mean? It's a tough topic. And I'll tell you what, it's fine now, but if shit hits the fan, dude, people are going to be real sorry them borders was open, dude. I'll say that, you know? Mostly all non-domiciled CDLs issued by states. The federal government has said to revoke them, but I don't think they've been revoked yet. That's really crazy. Yeah, like that, what was it, that case where the guy hit the CDL out of California, hit somebody in Florida or something like that? That's how the mayor said, I know plenty of harmless illegals in the U.S. Yeah, so this is it. All the Mexicans I know aren't dangerous burgers, but I know what you mean. Yeah, I got a great example, dude. A personal example of somebody very close to me. So I had a very, very, very brother-like close friend. He was my roommate in the Army, and he was not an American citizen. Him and his brother were born in Mexico. Their dad, however, was an American citizen, but he wasn't an American citizen. You're like, what do you mean? How could that be? Now, I haven't really discussed this with him, so I'm sure he wouldn't care for me to use his name, but doesn't matter. Let's leave it out. You're just going to have to take my story and listen to what I'm talking about and take the details of it. And his father has passed, so this isn't going to harm him at all or whatever. So here's the deal. So his dad was very proud of his Mexican heritage. And so he sent his wife back to bore his sons. And his dad was super old. And I'm going to tell you how old in a second. So he sent them back so that they would be born in Mexico and be proud of their heritage too. Now they served in the United States Army as infantrymen, both of them. But before then, they had worked as we call a pollero. It's a coyote or a coyote. It's like the one who brings the little chicks. He was a border. He brought people across the border, right? And he did this at like 16. And so, I remember I got stuck with him as a roommate because my Haitian platoon sergeant said, you know, he put all different minorities together and all different people together so that we would all be mixed together on the battlefield and get over our differences. And so my buddy didn't speak English, and he really only spoke Spanish, and he really barely spoke any English. And I said, and we used to fight every day. And so I used to tell him, hey, you're going to teach me Spanish and I'm going to teach you English. That's how we're going to get along. And I was a fighter, so we used to fight all the time. And so he did. He taught me Spanish and I taught him English, and we became best friends, like brothers. And I learned that over time. I met his wife, you know, their kids, the whole nine. Still know him, know him great to this day. But his dad had gotten into some legal issues in Mexico. What do I mean by legal issues? He had a murder and he wanted to avoid prosecution, but it was from the story. It was some type of gang mafia related case where he was he was forced into the situation from my understanding. So what did he do? He came to the United States. He changed his name and he fought in World War II. That's how old his dad is, okay? And his dad became a United States Army hero. He became a war hero and fought in World War II. He had his citizenship. It was all fake shit, and it was all provided to him through what he did. So clearly, that's an insane fucking story right there, right? But his whole family, super respectable. Now these guys, both crazy stories, they work and they're very, very affluent and work towards their citizenship and being naturalized, and very successful guys that work pretty high up. But, you know, there's an instance of something, and that's very personal. But I thought I would share that. I don't think I've ever shared that story before, but that really fascinated me. But there's an example. I think there's a lot of personal stories out there, if you will. I hope you probably all have some stories like that, maybe that you know it or whatever else, but I don't know. You have to let me know. Okay. Suburbs of that non-domicile became a hot term in the U.S. They made that first question on the application for trucking jobs. Yeah. According to the U.S. Immigration Law Council, you could be eligible for a non-domiciled CDL, which is a CDL for individuals who are legally authorized to work in the U.S. Eligible for individuals must have a valid employment authorization document or work permit. So how are they illegal? Totally agree. That's fine by me. My wife's not from here. You know what I mean? Like, she, however, completely legal. I don't have an illegal wife or anything like that. But, you know, she's not from here. You know what I'm saying? And she does really well for herself. But it's interesting because, like, my wife follows the letter of the law, and she gets very nervous about doing anything wrong. Because when you're on a green card, dude, like, you fuck up at all, and they'll, according to her, they'll kick you out. From my experience, that's not really how it works, but by the law it is. But yeah, she basically makes it sound like she messes up, they're going to kick her out tomorrow. But through my experience through law enforcement, we didn't used to do that. I don't know. It's, like I said, hot topic, but I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm actually really fascinated with a lot of this. Did he crash? Did I crash? I wasn't ignoring you. You're trolling. Professionally use your AI skills to search it. Who is they? Where? I'm not a dick. I have 3 citizens. I go to a truck stop and love it, but I know those people are 100% legal. Aren't 100% legal. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would tell you this: if you are in that situation, I think the best thing you could do, make sure your kids are legal citizens and do something of service to stay in the nation. The one thing that I can't get my head wrapped around is these people going fucking haywire over people that, like, I mean, if there was a bazillion stories of people who did all this crazy honorable shit for the country, that they're not, you know, the narrative is they're arresting people, they're ripping legal citizens out of their car, and they're full of shit, bro. All right, look it. I'm going to tell you, these people are doing their job. 1, 2, yes, there's some gray area stuff getting ripped apart, but like individuals who, like I said, like my buddies, they wouldn't join the army. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you got to join the damn army, but I'm saying, like, you would think that if it was that important to you, especially now, you would be by the letter of the law trying to figure out what you needed to do to not fuck your life up. You know what I mean? It also kind of doesn't make sense to me if you're like, well, I've been here for 30 years and I just never did it, you know, and you built this whole life. It's such a weird subject, man. It's above my pay grade. The more I think about it, bro, the more I'm like, dude, this shit is just so above my pay grade. It's not that I don't want to comment on it, but I can't see on one side, you know, dude, when I'm offline, I'm sitting there thinking like, fuck these guys, man. No, it's got to be like this. But the more you guys make me think about it, I'm like, no, you know, there are some tough situations out there, and I can think of my own examples. You know what I mean? But I could also give you examples from working on the law enforcement side and also being in the military with individuals of people who did the wrong thing. But it's really rare. It's really rare. I'll say that. I think it's a little crazy and outlandish and unempathetic to go, well, there's absolutely no case. Where I draw the line for me, and I remove all the emotional part about it, so this is what made me really good at my job from before. I'm not black and white. I am gray area, but at the same time, I was able to effectively see that, like, how would I set up my defenses? How would I set up offenses? So a lot of people look at me from a leadership perspective back then, like, hey, you were always really smart-minded about that. When I look at it objectively and I go, okay, how is this a massive flaw in our system? How is this a danger? That's clearly a hole that kind of needs to be plugged. You know what I mean? Like those that drank the Kool-Aid and said, this is just normal to be unpatriotic and hate my country and scream all the stolen land shit and blah, blah, blah. Dude, there is nowhere on earth where humans haven't fought that haven't stolen something from somebody else. Every nation that's ever been created is on some type of stolen property. I don't want to fucking hear about it. There needs to be law and there needs to be societal boundaries, right? And so when you look at it from a totally tactical, legal perspective, there does need to be some type of solution. But again, the more I think about it, the more I place emotion to it from a citizen's perspective now and as a veteran, the more I realize it's above my pay grade. But if I was in charge and saying, hey, how do we plug up these holes and all these misgivings? I mean, a lot, dude, that's clearly where we've it's a weak point for us, man. I'm just telling you. What's up, Huck? How you doing, bro? Where's my wife from? She's from Germany. Yeah. She's going to request citizenship to remove 99% of risk. No. She'll never try to become a citizen here. She's not going to give up her citizenship in her home country. And honestly, I'm totally fine with it. The cool part is I could go there, she could go here. We're fine with it for now. Our kids got dual citizenship, you know what I mean? So we're chilling, you know what I mean? That's her choice. I respect it. I love my wife. I'd rather be with someone that wasn't a fucking echo chamber of every stupid man ideological thing that I say. And that's that. I'll say that. Maybe that's the key to happiness. I met my wife 23 years ago. Just about 23 years ago. I think that's a pretty big attestament too. Love her to death. Don't really need rings and the law or anything to tell me I'm partnered with somebody in my head. You know what I mean? I'm with her through and through, and we are different people, and she is that way. But I could say, she enjoys the amenities of all the things here, and as an attestament into the argument that, oh, they're just doing this to anybody. Dude, she's like, she works, you know what I mean? Like a government job, dude. You know what I mean? I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but like she's an outstanding stand-up member of society, and nothing's happening to her. You know what I mean? So at least I can speak on that too. I can speak on it from working in the field. I can speak on it from experience with individuals, like almost in an interview positioning of life experience. And I can speak on it living with someone that's a foreign national. Yeah. They have detained American citizens. That's true. Still rare. They've also deported military vets. I don't know. I think I did hear about that, but I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. Would you like their names? I would like their names. Yeah, you could absolutely share it. If you don't mind, I gotta take a leak real quick too. Hate to say it like that, but probably won't be awake much longer. You know, I'm gonna go stop by, show some love, have some killer stream guy. Yeah, absolutely. This could be really exhausting to some people too. This is constantly in your face. I just hope that it's you come here. I really hope that you, like I said, you feel like you can just be yourself and unwind about it a little bit. And have a good, I would like you to be able to have a discussion amongst people that, this is what we're missing, dude, is debate. Logical, sensible, good debate without making fun or hating one another. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that say I would never want 9/11 to happen again, but I would give anything for a 9/12. Those that were around during that time, dude, I remember even all our allies, dude, like outside our military base overseas in Europe, there was flowers, dude, from going from all the way up the walls of the base, going all the way out to the street, bro. Candles, flowers, a lot of people, bro. A lot of people had our back. It's really crazy. Serves an operation just caused 1989 to overthrow the Panamanian leader Manuel Noriega. He told NPR earlier this year that his platoon was ambushed one day while eating lunch. Panamanian soldiers opened fire and parked at them to return fire and was shot in the back. Yeah, I had that same Haitian platoon sergeant. Called him BBM, Big Black Monster. He was a great guy. One of the best NCOs I ever had. Big, scary guy. That comes from South Park, by the way, too. Not just because he was a black guy. But there was a South Park episode. I want to say that was, I can't remember exactly which one. But that's what my Mexican roommate used to call our platoon sergeant, BBM. And he was a really, really nice guy, but he had his combat patch, and he'd been a machine gun team, and he lost his fucking gunner, dude, in the same deployment. Yeah. And nobody talks about that either, which is really crazy too. June Park, SAG, we could look that up. I'll look it up. What is it? Is it spelled right? Shirley, you seem very well articulated. I don't think you had. Dude, my phone though is terrible with this says he's self-deported. Here. It looked like it said Korean. It says he have a Korean name. There you go. Forced to self-deport. Okay. So Hawaii's let's see if there's anything. NPR. There you go. And you said it, NPR. Guy looks really fucking familiar, bro. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one too, right? And he got out honorably. That would piss me off. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I want to take away from this here. I can't believe this happened in American Park. Stole them. It blows me like country that I fought for. Joined his mother 7 years later. Lester Park was to spend the rest of his childhood. I served with a bunch of guys from like Rock Army in Korea too. Park didn't have any influence, but he looked up to his uncle. Deployed to Panama, where it would be soon be part of the Just Cause. It's in there. I was suffering PTSD years, having nightmares, having awful thoughts at the time, which horror movies couldn't hear loud noises. Yeah, that's pretty common, I think, for a lot of guys. Like loud bangs, slamming doors, horror movies, jump scares. That's pretty common in the PTSD field because it sets you off, gets you super angry because you're like, because you're scared for a moment, right? You're thinking that something's popping off, and then you want to punch somebody's lights out, dude, because you're like, you realize that it was somebody playing a joke or some shit like that, right? So this is relatable. I give the smell test on this. I give it a pass. You thought it was Tony crack cocaine addiction. I mean, that's a little hard one. I want to tell you a story though that kind of plays a little devil's advocate to this. I just couldn't stay clean. He finally went to the judge. Well, it was in the 80s too, though. I mean, that's a little different, right? Or 90s. Situation was not a priority because he did not fully grasp the concept of remaining a non-citizen. See, I almost thought it was like almost you could get naturalized right out of the service for serving. Served in the U.S. military at least 1 year. A single day during wartime. Park was discharged. Yeah, he's also, again, this is a cherry pick case though too. Off this, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm being straight up. And if you don't agree with this here, it's nothing personal, but you're being disingenuous. If this is not the case, again, I appreciate you sending this, but here, discharged before he had served 12 months, and the invasion of Panama was not classified a period of hostility. Do I agree with it? No. I think you served, and if he got shot, like there's no fucking questions asked. But he's in this weird gray area, right? I don't think this would happen to many other people. I could be wrong. Again, it's above my pay grade, right? This is why his family is found at a car dealership in Honolulu, spent 10 years. So this looks like pretty recent, huh? I would say. Why does the fucking background to the Grand Canyon, or maybe it's the clouds. It looks like it's like a backdrop. Just that ice is not, which is typical. Deported unless he voluntarily left the next few weeks. Yeah, I mean, here's the same though, dude. Why do we not have? So it's be disingenuous of me not to say why doesn't this guy have, why doesn't this guy have someone intervening here, looking at the basis of the case, right? And maybe there is. I'm curious to that. So thank you for sharing. I'm neither here nor there because on one side I'm saying, bro, okay, let me play devil's advocate for a minute. I knew a guy named something Gray. I just know his name. I don't give a fuck about using his name. Fuck that guy. This guy was a piece of shit, and we served together. Say served. This guy came for like a week or two, started getting high all the time and selling drugs and stuff in the barracks. And then he got Article 15, and then he continued doing it, and he got field graded, and they put him on, they put him on watch and put him in the gang kitchen and whatever, and he broke out against CQ, and he went out in the public, and he went AWOL, and then he literally deserted. We had deployment orders. He deserted, and he went to a magazine and a newspaper and said that they were like sexually assaulting him and all kinds of weirdo shit, dude. And he made us look fucking stupid. And we're the big red one, dude. Like, none of this shit was going on. We had amazing leadership. This kid was an asshole. You know what I mean? And this kid got out on general, other than honorable. This kid should have been dishonorably discharged. This guy was an ass. You got to fuck up pretty bad to be dishonorably discharged most of the time. For most of the cases that I've seen. I got a lot of friends that were other than honorables that got screwed, that should have been straight up honorables, that missed fat camp, whatever. But you know how the Army is, dude. You know that if you're in that weird... How many people do you remember from your basic training that got kicked out like 20 days in or 30 days in and just didn't even make the cutoff? They just wanted to go home. That's most people. Now, are there cases out there where guys who really wanted to serve and got injured? Happens all the time. Happens in airborne school. Happens all over the place. But like, let's not kid ourselves here, right? Like, if you serve less than a certain amount of time, and you get kicked out, good chance there's a higher possibility you're a shitbag. I'm just gonna put it that way. However, this is one of those weird cases. That's why I'm neither here nor there. Because like, if this guy if you got deployed to Panama shot, bro, this is a really weird case. You know what I mean? I don't feel like this is happening in mass, though. Not making an excuse for it. It's a fucked up case. There's gonna be clearly victims in this stuff. This is one of those, I would say. You know what I mean? Rock Marines were fantastic too. Yeah, a lot of guys don't like our squad leader at the time. They were upset with him because he was really hard on us and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into the details. I don't want to embarrass the guy. I'm not going to get into the details why some of the people that deployed to Iraq had some issues with him. I think he's a fucking great guy. It's kind of mixed bag of opinions. But I love him, dude. I still talk to him to this day. He would tell me, in Korea, Iraq Army, I don't need a medic. Medic for pussy. You either fight or you die. He would say that all the time, and I'm doing a terrible impression of him. That's how he sounded. And he was really fun. He used to make me laugh. He used to think, we don't need a medic. You either fight or die. In Republic of Korea, in our army, we don't have medics. That's sissy shit, And hardcore guy, ended up retiring out, Sergeant Major. Like I said, pretty high-speed guys coming out of Korea, for the most part, from my experience. So, yeah, I feel like... it's a really rare case. Most of the guys that I met from there, too, straight and narrow guys, man. One of the guys that I served with whooped my fucking ass on a deployment. I did a lot of mixed martial arts and stuff. I had a good fight with this guy. This guy whooped my ass, bro. One of the only times I ever lost a fight. Big, tall Korean kid. Hey, great night to you, too, Carry Me. Great night to you, too. I'm going to be honest. I've had a good night. I'm going to head out here. I got to go hit the pisser, dude. My teeth are floating. And I think we really, really hammered this tonight. This here. Is there anything anybody needs before I go and send off here? I'd hate to just cut everyone loose and end on a terrible note. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? Or you guys think I should, you want to see? Or are there any resources you need me to share? I'm probably going to go play offline on DMZ. I think next time I'll probably just make a second stream. I might do that tonight if you want to give me a minute to. The only thing is I gotta take a second character and I gotta go dead drop 40 fucking self revives, dude. I'm swearing so much. Sorry about that. I gotta go dead drop 40 self revives on this character, and I just feel like it's gonna be really boring to watch. Civil debates, yeah. Good to chat with level-headed vets. Yeah, same, of course, always. I think we need to do this more often. I love gaming. Let's keep it going. That's the beautiful thing. That's the entertainment aspect. Hopefully we can edit up some cool stuff here in the near future. I want to let you know, Silent Professional, what you posted there with this here, thank you. Because you're in a community where a lot of people would disagree with you. Like they'll jump on. There's a lot of veterans here that are on the side of, like, I would say the majority of veterans here and individuals that didn't serve would say they're more, because they know where I'm focused, you know what I mean? And I lean more that way too. And they would say, no, this isn't this way, deport them all, blah, 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 blah. These people are idiots. They're very against the left side, right? So very right-leaning. And I love my homies, but I also have very close friends that totally see this with an empathetic point of view. I feel like I'm there too. I try to be. But I respect your bravery to come in here and give a difference of opinion, because most people just want to agree with everything that I'm going to say. And as much as there's some individuals that really do appreciate, love, and follow, like I said, Sean, who a lot of people think he's very brash too. I think a lot of content creators out there just want to be down by the book. This is what I stand for. There's no difference of opinion. You're not changing my mind. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think we're constantly evolving. And if you're not trying to improve as a human being, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're never, whether you are into MMA, shooting, sewing with a thread and needle, whatever you're doing, building cars. If you're not always improving, like, how are you truly the best? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate the difference of opinion. Sometimes we need a difference of opinion to see things from a perspective that we weren't currently viewing it from. And if you don't keep an open mind, you're not getting all the topics. You're not really gonna be educated from all aspects and see everyone's point of view. You'll never get to a point of I would say, like, you'll never truly transcend into a realm of being truly accepted of a lot of different cultures, people. One of the great things about being in the military, right? Like, we all come together and we all wear army green. You know what I mean? I truly live by that. Yeah, I got very versed. I hated country music before the service. Then I met a bunch of dudes from the country. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I came from a Italian background. I grew up with a lot of Spanish and, African American kids and shit, and Italian kids, Irish kids, and then no any country kids. You know what I mean? So it kind of changed my views. So like I said, you got to keep an open mind. I appreciate it. But we saw today the VA is looking to cut benefits for vets on meds that is helping them. Maybe next time you could talk to them a little bit. Yeah, I still have to read on it more. Well, so do I, and that's why I'm not covering it. You know what I mean? But yeah. That being said, dude, man, I'm gonna hop off. Dude, I look like pasty white with this lighting. I'll have to have Pat come in here and fix this. I got my settings on my camera set way too. I got it set to Casper Ghost. Also, I'd have to ask him too. This shit makes me look like I have a refrigerator for a head. I don't know. Look all patchy and shit. I got to fix this camera. Either way. Hey, man, thank you guys so much for putting up with me. Thank you for coming in here and being a part of this. Till further ado, I'll see you guys on the other side. I am going to be streaming, gaming something later this week. Planning on being DMZ. If you'd like to come back for that, hit me up. Any questions? Shoot me a message in the Discord. And we will see you later, man. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Peace.